Chapter 13. Hitting the Road. I have never been this far from home in this world before, or should I say the orphanage. It's not my home anymore. Rift Inn is though. Filthy as it is, I love that place. Too many Argonians, yet it's a place I lived most of my life in. Ops. I almost became a bit Nordly racist here. I don't hate Argonians or anything. I'm always trying to keep my cheerful yet moody personality and my otherworldly standards of thinking from being affected by the Nordic way of thinking and doing things, but it's proving to be a challenge. Staying in this uncomfortable carriage really hurts the body, and my butt is going numb along with everything around. It's also affecting my mood. And spray before you sit next to you, me, you smelly dimwits. Damn it, I'm losing to my temper once again. There are no sprays in this world. I try to recreate them with alchemy and magic, yet it needs a certain degree of control I haven't mastered yet. And to cast it at people, it must be a very stealthy spell. I was known in the orphanage as a clean freak, yet that was barely the normal standards of a modern world. This world needs adjustments. I don't care about being the savior of the world or anything. If I can make these people spray, I'll be a damn legend. Back to reality and getting a better position to breath. Away from the smelly fellows my sight fall upon the beauty of Riffin's forest. Such a place, even though it's winter and snowing, it's much better than many places. In winter, the whole damn Skyrim gets to experience a snowy season. I don't remember which mod used to have that feature, but that's a very natural thing in a northern region like Skyrim. The infamous bears of Rift Inn and its hold go into hibernation, so travel should be safer, if not for those damn wolves. Winter's wolves are a mad bunch. They turn crazy because of hunger and bite on every moving thing they see. Carriages don't travel together, but they form caravans. Each caravan has its guards and scouts to guard against beasts and bandits. I also joined the guards to deal with wolf attacks. I normally used a bow and was praised highly by the guards. The merchants in the caravan bought every wolf I put down, and in no more than 3 days, I have already gathered the coins we paid for the ride. Best business I've ever done. It was normal to find better opportunities outside the cities where risks are involved and danger lurks into the shadow of each stone. Things got tizzy one night, and my hammer was away from me, so I had to use magic. My favorite element is lightning, and I train a lot with it. It resulted to make my mana denser, adding that to my control, which originated from mysticism training. For that reason, my lightning sounded like the wrath of Thor. I'm exaggerating, but it will be like Thor's lightning one day. After showing off my magic, some people avoided me. Hey, I just saved your sorry butts. Signords, for someone who came from a different world. Magic is like everything they want to know about, but for the people who live in a world of magic and be so indifferent to magic is so unthinkable to an outsider. If these people were educated, they would know that the race that excelled in necromancy thousands of years ago was the Nords. Ancient Nordic ruins are filled to the brim with undead. Forget about that now. It's camping time, so let's camp and make fire. Gaze mine magic, the motley-minded lot, and engrave its beauty in thy minds. That was me being cocky with my fire magic. These people hate magic so much, yet they can't help but watch me with envy, while I make fire by magic, not like their stupid way of smashing stones. I forced my friends to learn magic some time ago. Akra loved it, and focused on magic that can add protection to her, while making her move fast. Smart girl. Nurina praised her greatly, and allowed me to teach her. She learned alteration and some restoration. Her twin sword style was natural and beautiful. She was like a dancer more than warrior. Wolfer wasn't good with magic, but he learned beginner fire spells for survival's sake. His fighting styles is that of a shield bearer, and he's good with axes. That's a true Nord for you. Sviti was really good at illusion, but she didn't show much interest. I'm not that good with illusion too, I just didn't give it much of my time. Isolde is a tragedy in magic. She never cared about it and had a poor talent in it. Me and Wolfer were sharing a fur tent. I took out a note, I drew things in, and started showing him my latest ideas. It's a habit I developed to pull that guy's leg into something. They were mostly weapons and designs from Earth. I always try to show them to this guy, so he can make what's possible from these. If he could ever make a firearm, I would be so happy. This guy's talent was the real deal when it comes to blacksmithing. He kept taking notes and was immersed on how powerful and unique these weapons would be. I even made some movie weapons like the Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. Wolfer stopped me at a certain design that I put some effort in some time ago. It was a two-handed hammer axe in one. This drawing was extremely sinister. If anyone saw it, they would mistake for some Daedric artifact. The hammer half was as follows: a front half of a skull as the blunt hitting side of the hammer with its mouth closed. Its eyes had a spike each, yet it was a bit out of the eyes to cause damage while not standing out. The skull design was to make it as blunt as it can get. It was linked to the pole of the weapon by a metal that was designed to look like a thick backbone that came out from the backside of the skull. The axe side with a sharp third of a circle with its blade a bit thicker than its inner part. Yet the inner part had these bone phalanxes that looked as the link between blade part and the weapon pole through the axe's inner part. The pole part was not straight and engraved with deathly drawings of snakes, flowers, thorns, and skulls. The drawing itself gave a vibe of death. This weapon in reality must be the favorite weapon of the Harbinger of Death. If someone from modern Earth saw that weapon, they might think it's some art design from emo or gothic culture designs, or even anime stuff. But Wolfer's face was drenched with sweat once he saw it on paper. "Which Daedric weapon is that?" Wolfer asked. "Lord John's," I replied. "Cut the crap. This drawing is evil in itself, let alone the weapon." Wolfer retorted. "Can you make such a thing?" I asked. "Even if I can, I won't." Wolfer was already panicking. "Come on, once you be good enough, let's make it together. I'll enchant the axe side and the hammer side, two different enchantments, but once I master it the way." That was I really planning. "Are you mad? The Vigilant of Stender will have our heads if that thing saw light." Wolfer cried in a low voice. "The Vigilant of Stender are what you call a brotherhood of fighting priests that worship Stender, the god of righteousness, or whatever. These guys are anti-Daedra and everything fun." This guy's a point. Still, come on. I use necromancy, and they never caught the wind of me. And this weapon is when we become masters, and also when you start working in Skyforge. I pressed on his weak spot. This guy may droll if he heard the word Skyforge, the oldest forge in Skyrim. Wolfer's dream was to make weapons at Skyforge, but that was not easy. The only person who can use the forge is the legendary Irlin Greymane, the best blacksmith in Skyrim in this age. One needs the acknowledgement of Irlin Greymane to use the forge, or the forge may harm those who are not worthy. Skyforge, unlike in game, is no ordinary forge. Mostly the Snow Elves believed it's a relic of the gods. It also was said that it would burn those who are not worthy of it. Hearing me telling him to make this weapon from my drawing in Skyforge when he became able to use it, he went into some day dreaming, then his face twisted as if he ate something bad. "You want to make such an evil-looking thing in the holy ground of blacksmithing? You must be out of your damn mind." Wolfer was already mad, yet he never let go of my sketch journal, looking left and right at the designs. "What is this?" He stopped at a drawing. "An airship," I replied. "From a name, it's a ship that can fly." Wolfer made a dumb remark. "You figured that alone?" I mocked. "How does it work?" He ignored me and asked. "Fell the balloon, that big airbag with hot air that has the nature of rising up above. As it has been already trapped in the balloon will go up carrying the ship." I stopped talking and began thinking. "But," Wolfer questioned, "the weight of the ship is too heavy and it needs much bigger balloon to carry it." The only solution that came to mind was to enchant the body of the ship to be lighter and enchant the space inside of the balloon to be much bigger. I think the Dwemer, Deep Elves, did it like that once. I started making ideas. "You really are nuts." Wolfer sighed. To call me nuts, if this guy saw the flying aircrafts of another world, he would lose his mind from shock. We kept arguing about this and that until it became a bit late. After a while, I felt a movement near the girls' tent. One of them were heading out somewhere. She was sneaking, yet it was away from camp. What is going on? That's not the direction of watering the flowers. I covered myself in furs and went investigating. The footprints were Akra's. Her legs have less pressure, so she wasn't easy to track. After a few minutes, I caught up to her, few hundred meters away from the camp, and she noticed me. Akira was just looking for something. Akira said, "Looking for something? This was a place on the middle of nowhere." "Wait a second. Don't tell me. Could it be this place?" I gasped after realizing something. "An inn. It's around here." Akira pointed somewhere and walked. "So, this place is where her family was attacked 5 or 6 years ago." Following after her, we arrived at a strange-looking place. I get tensed up ready to use Bound Sword, but there was nothing when I used Detect Magic. It allows me to feel other living beings' magic power by it. The place was as if a storm struck on a small scale. Big trees were thrown down, and some had many claw marks and damaged badly. Even though these marks had many damage marks, time seemed to have healed most of it. Yet the place was in a havoc, as if a small battle has happened here. What can do such a mess? I was in a daze from the sight, yet I noticed Akira trembling with expressions akin to agony on her face. I couldn't say I was in her position before to understand such sadness. I only tried to calm her down or pat her shoulder, but she didn't respond at all. Looking at the place, I was really scared of what can do such a thing. I know that some creatures are crazy strong, such as mammoths and giants, but that was too intense. "A black bear," Akira said with hatred chucking her voice. "Wasn't it bandits?" I remember the story that I was bandits who attacked Akira and her caravan. A bossmare, wood elf, was riding it, and he had people with him. They were bandits. Akira kept speaking while pointing at some places. "So, a tamer wood elf with a group of bandits operated here, and his tamed was not any bear. It was a black bear. Bears in Skyrim are forest bears, the brown normal ones, snow bears which have white fur, but much stronger and faster. They are not polar bears, and black cave bears which are larger than normal bears and crazy strong. This area's damage fit the description of a black bear. A bossmare would elf. Tamer is a good tamer, but this time the tamer is a bandit. It will be nasty finding such a tamer in the forest." I tried to comfort Akira until she calmed down and started praying. I left Akira to her prayers and surveyed the surroundings once more. I don't think I can do such a sight, even if I go all out. Back to the camp. Akira was a bit spiritless after going that place and went directly to sleep. Wolfer felt me coming and questioned about what happened. I told him that I followed Akira for a walk, and he started to make fufufu, while glancing at me with some laughing eyes. Go to hell. I punched the insolent fellow and sent myself to dreamland. Before I sleep, I noticed that my sketch journal was still with Wolfer. That meant he's interested in the stuff in it. Perfect. Next morning, we moved and arrived at Shorestone. That took us 3 days. If Riften in the game was a small sample compared to its full version in reality, then Shorestone was a complete different story. This town had a mine and 3 or 4 buildings in game, but the real deal was a proper town. A big traveler's inn, a stable, many houses, a big iron mine, a large industrial-grade smelter, a forge, and a wooden wall surrounding the whole town with a guard post. That was a proper town, ladies and gentlemen. We left the carriages and headed for the inn. The town was bustling and busy with travelers, but we found a place. After a while, I went out alone on some exploration. Wolfer wanted to take a look around, and the girls had no interest, so they stayed in charge of the food. I took Wolfer around and started looking everywhere. This place was amazing. We entered the mine, saw the smelter and the forge. I looked for any presence of the Thieves Guild in town, but it seemed the guild's decline was taking its toll on them, and they even couldn't expand to the next town. Returning on sunset, we ate together and kept arguing about my sketches till the night. I made new sketches from some games and manga. Well, that was a way to spend time. The next day, we went early to buy supplies and went to the carriages. The others came a bit later, and we hit the road once again. We headed north, and it was a calm ride. After we camped for a day, we kept heading north and then headed west with the crossroads. After that, it was a sight to behold. The road between the Rifthold and Eastmarch Hold had a beautiful view over the sulphurous pools and rocky crags of Eastmarch. The Rifthold was few hundred meters above sea level, but the Eastmarch Hold was under sea level, so the road was horizontally on a slope. We camped in a camping spot near the road and headed to our next destination the next morning. After descending the slope, we were officially inside East Marchhold, and our next stop was Darkwater Crossing, the new mining town. Unlike Shorestone, this was a new mine, which was still undeveloped and barely had any features of a town. Even though we were at winter, the weather in the place was warm and good. If the place was not full with giant tribes and predators, a resort city would have been built here a long time ago. The mine here was a Corunda mine, which was a good metal for crafting. The one who discovered the mine was its current manager, the beautiful adventurer and neck crag jumper. She settled here with her husband and daughter, which was 11 this year. I know about all that because Anek was in the game, a quest giver and a potential follower. After looking around in the inn, I forced the girls to follow us this time. I know some good stuff about this place. First, we went to see the mine. There were also a farm and campsite. Strange enough, the miners lived in these camps, as the weather here was exceptionally good and the nature was lovely, so no one cared about houses for the time being, as the village needed some development first. The inn, which didn't exist in-game, was built early to attract travelers and develop the place faster. After the tour, the sun was still up and we were not really tired. I went to a guard and asked him about directions in the area north of the place. Taking notes of what he said, I dragged the scared lot into the wildlands while promising them a good adventure. Isolde and Sviti wanted to turn it down, but this was for their own good, so they got dragged. After an hour, we reached a cave. I conjured a familiar and commanded it to explore ahead. I forgot to mention about this spell. It's conjuration school for those who doesn't know, and the familiar in-game is a ghost wolf. Familiars can be used for exploring more than fighting, and they have many forms. As long as one can comprehend a certain animal's behavior and habits, then one can make a perfect replica as a conjurable familiar. As the control was easy, they were better than Atronax in scouting. Atronax needed more control and had to stay close to the caster. My familiars were few other animals that I watched on documentaries in my past life, which greatly surprised Narina. I can make dolphins, sharks, eagles, small birds, and cats. My favorite was falcons and cats, so I used them to explore a lot. Now I used a cat to run inside the cave and controlled it while reading its mind. I confirmed the location and marked it on map. This place is called the Elder Gleam's Sanctuary, a holy land for the goddess Kinnereth and the most beautiful spot in Skyrim as far as I know. This is also a place where pilgrims happen, so don't touch anything in there. I informed the guys behind me and went into the cave. Akira was curious, so she was on my tail. Wolfer followed, not really interested about anything as long as it's not related to blacksmithing. Sviti and Isolde was too afraid to enter, yet what made them more scared was to be left behind, so they came. I casted a candlelight spell and hovering a bright white light sphere above my head. Everyone stuck close as we got into the cave's tunnel and followed silently. A minute later, light shone at the end of the tunnel, and the scene completely changed. I saw that in the game, but I lost my words completely. The game didn't give this place any justice. How to describe what I saw in words was just so breathtaking that I fall in love from the first sight. This place was a true place to comprehend nature to its purest form. So that what you meant with a holy ground? Wolfer exclaimed. Man, I only read about it in one of Narina's books. I made preparation to not be amazed, but that's just too much beauty. Am I even worthy to enter? I was making a dramatic speech. Of course, as long as no one means harm to the sanctuary, anyone can enter. A voice replied to me. There stood an old woman in a yellow robe. A priestess of Kinnereth, it seemed. We nodded and passed the bridge over a small water creek. The sanctuary was in the heart of the hill that guards the place. The space was uneven, but there was a road and man-made bridge around the entrance. Once you pass, you will come to a vast garden that can be mistaken for a paradise with so many trees and exotic herbs. I could feel few presences concealed in the trees. I recognized them as Spriggans, are tree spirits that take the form of female humanoids. They possess moderate intelligence, but despite being revered, they are usually hostile towards travelers. Spriggans have their own unique language, which can be learned by scholars and used to calm the creatures. They can be considered the agents of nature. They are usually found protecting secluded glades and groves all over Tamriel, often blending in with the plant life and catching trespassers unaware. Spriggans attack with their long, sharp fingers as well as their teeth, and have the ability to poison enemies. They have incredible regenerative abilities, resulting in adventurers often having to defeat them several times before they remain dead. If threatened, they can call nearby woodland animals to aid them in battle, and some even have the ability to magically summon black bears. Looking around the place, we saw some ridiculously large roots coming down from a high place. Top of the roots was a tree, not as large as its roots, but it was still a big tree. That was it. "This is the Elder Gleam." I and the priestess spoke in unison. I made an ahem and apologized for interruption. She smiled and said it's fine. We approached the roots, and I touched them. Also, I activated Detect Magic. The felt inside Magicka. Inside them were like an ocean. The Elder Gleam is maybe the oldest living thing known to this day. The energy in the roots, just now, was the real thing. These roots also are too mysterious. I don't think I can harm them even if I tried to. I declare my discoveries to the lot. "Really? At all?" Wolfer was amazed. "Yeah, this root may be harder than metal itself. The magical effect in its Magicka is resistance of the holiest level." I said, "You know a lot." The priestess spoke after she followed up to me. "Yeah, I am trained as a mage," I said. The priestess nodded and stood in silence. "So, nothing can harm this tree?" Isolde asked while immersing herself in its beauty. "Maybe Alduin the World Eater." I said, "That was true, though. Your nonsense about dragons again," Sviti complained. I laughed at her. "Let's wait a few more years and see how you respond. If an unholy artifact were to be used, it may do harm, but on what cost? You will conjure the wrath of nature and its guardians. Maybe Grelad's kitchen knife can do the trick, though." I said something and covered it with a joke. The guys laughed when I made a joke about Grelad. The priestess looked at me with dark expressions, but I ignored her. After a while, we went away from the roots to the garden and stayed for a while. "You know too much, young man." The priestess came close and said. I looked at her and smiled. "Don't worry, I can't afford the enmity of Kinnereth priesthood. And who would want to harm such a beauty? You mages are a wicked bunch." The priestess turned and was about to leave. "Can I meditate here for a while?" I asked the priestess. "Of course, this is what the place is meant for anyway." She sighed and left after replying. I activated my magic and sent out all the Magicka in my body till exhaustion. It really was a painful feeling to be with no Magicka. I then activated Magicka absorbing spell on both hands and made the target is the space around me. My body started absorbing energy so fast that I was full in no time, but after I finished, I emptied my Magicka pool again and kept repeating the process for 2 hours. This training is something I copied from cultivation novels in my past life and thought of doing the same with Magicka. The result, however, was amazing, and it has gone completely compatible with mysticism school. My Magicka pool was enlarged by that training many times before, but I feel that the results this time are extraordinary. I open my eyes happily to find a strange sight around me. Roots has grown around me, and it felt like nature is clinging onto me. My friends are laughing and say plants grew on my, as if some sort of dork. Seriously? Couldn't you at least tell me? I looked around to find the priestess was looking at me strangely. "What did you do just now?" she asked. I forced my energy out and let it regenerate from the energy of the surroundings. I replied, "Have the truth. I actually absorbed forcefully from the surroundings, and it was much more than one time." "What is the use of that?" she asked. "It heals the body and the soul." I made up some B*LLSH*T. "Would it hurt the surroundings?" she asked again. "No, you actually give energy and take back energy. The energy you gave will be changed by the higher quality energy of the space to a higher level, and you gain new energy. It's a good thing for both mages and nature as you renew both your energy and the nature's." That was the truth. "Amazing!" the priestess exclaimed in wonder. Of course, it's amazing. It's my personal way of training. And you just got the commercial grade version. After a short, while I urged my friends out while freeing myself from the small plants that grew on me. Heading out through the tunnel, I made another candlelight, but something strange occurred. The light sphere was so strong and bright that it hurt our eyes, even though I used the same amount of magicka like last time. I dispelled it and made another one with quarter the output, and it was just about right. I got what happened after few fast experiments. My magicka didn't just increase, it also became denser and with a higher quality. This is incredibly amazing. I just don't have more magicka. I also don't need to spend it as much as before. Perfect. I'll celebrate with a sweet roll and some green tea later. Our next spot was the hot springs. Yes, there are hot springs when there are sulfurous pools. In-game, it was a place with few hunters grouping and bathing, but this place has no one, and there was still sun. With the cold winter, this place was akin to heaven. I marked 2 spots and made on for me and Wolfer and the other for the girls. Bathing like this is a bless no matter how hot the water was. I just wanted to do another magicka training here, but was too lazy to do anything. With my progress today, I can focus on training my control and the illusion school I ignored this far. Just when the sun was about to set, we headed straight to Darkwater Crossing and went right to sleep. The day after we headed towards Valthium Towers, traveling along Black River and the up to White River, and approached Valthium Towers in another 3 days. During this journey, we were going to run into a bandit ambush, but I discovered them through my Falcon Familiar, and the guards rained them down with arrows. I've never killed a soul yet, other than beasts. I'll have to do it one day, but I'm still in some mixed emotions about it. A day later, we arrived at Valthium Towers. It's a military place with a very high strategic importance, as it is the best place to pass between the east and the west of Skyrim. There are only 2 other passes. One was the rocky road in the south between Helgen and Ivarstead. The other one was in the north in the barren frozen land of the Winterhold and the Pale Holds where nothing lived for miles. Valthium Towers was modded with a mod called Tactical Valthium, which made it into a fortified location. Travelers were allowed to stay for half a day with no trade meaning whatsoever unless between them. We rested for a while and finally made our pass to our last destination in the first half of our journey, Whiterun Hold. Chapter 14, Tourism in Whiterun. After a day from passing Valthium Towers, we could see a large city in the far Golden Plains. The caravan passed side to side with White River. The Hold and the city were both named after this river. White River starts from Falkreath in the south, passing Whiterun and Windhelm all the way to the Sea of Ghosts. Sailing in it is impossible due to the waterfalls, else this journey would be really easy. I was setting in the carriage comfortability, reading a note, and learning few more techniques in magic. Other passengers got used to the fact I am a mage and didn't mind much of my strange-looking notes. I could feel the road under the carriage becoming smoother and better, which meant we are at a well-made road, near to a major city or a town. Looking at the road ahead, we could finally see it. Whiterun city walls in the reach of vision. We were at the afternoon, and so we would enter the city at sunset. As planned, Sviti will stay in Isolde's house, and we boys will manage it somehow. Girls get all the best treatment after all. But I'm so happy I came to Whiterun. This was my base of operations in the game, and I hope I can get that old place. As long as it was modded, of course. I can't remember which house mod I installed in Whiterun, but I always download Breeze Home TNF, Eleonora's Flavor. Eleonora, the modder, just did a job well done in decorating the place. Plus, with original mod, author remaking for the house. This place was just too good. I closed the note I was reading. It was about a new spell called Soulfire. Its idea was to link the magicka pool with weapons enchantment's power reserve. It would take the enchanted weapons to the next level. As the carriage stopped, the sun has already gone down. Darkness will swallow the world soon, so we said farewells to our fellow travelers and went right towards the city. Unlike the game, there were many houses outside Whiterun's wall, but that was also part of the city. The stables where the carriages stopped were to our right as we followed the road ahead and passed through the first gate. After it, we walked and turned with the road to see a second gate that was well guarded. We had to pay the tax of entering the city as we don't have the identity of a citizen. Identities are pieces of wood that are marked with the date of its issue. Isolde has her citizenship pass, so she was okay. That sort of thing happens in each city, but the security in Rift Inn didn't exist to begin with, so things was easy. Passing the second gate, we headed straight to the last wooden big gate. What met us in Whiterun was a very bustling place, even though sun was going down. I don't remember that this city was like this. After asking around, we discovered that Jarl Balgruuf the Greater has been blessed with a third child, and it was a girl. So he threw a party to the whole town. So that little sh*t was finally born. There's some bad blood between me and that girl from the game, of course. But I'm a pity person who takes revenge even on little girls. Back to present, the city has 3 areas. The Plains District is the lower level of Whiterun. It is where the common folk reside and trade amongst each other. The Wind District is the second level of Whiterun, and it is the home of the nobility in Whiterun, as well as other notable groups. The Temple of Kinnereth is located in the center of the Winds District, parallel to the Gildergreen Tree, an ancient tree that grew from the Eldergleam Tree of Eastmarch. The eastern side is the home of the Companions and the Skyforge. The Companion Stronghold was the first building in Whiterun. Finally, there is the Cloud District, which is the home of Dragon's Reach. We passed the streets while looking at beautiful city. After a while, we reached the market square that has been turned into a festival area. Avoiding it and heading straight to a big building. That was it, my second home in game. The biggest inn in Whiterun, the Bannered Mare. That was a good place for early players to stay, and also a gorgeous inn. In real life, that wasn't much different except for how huge it was. The number of tables inside and outside, also the tavern bards and music. This was what you expect from a Nordic medieval inn. We walked inside after Isolde, of course, and looked around for a place to sit. A maiden with an unusual silver hair came and guided us into the inn. The place was good and nearby the fire pit. Unlike other holds, Whiterun had fire pits in every house. Other holds have proper fireplaces. Gamers always tripped in them, though. Just as we sat, Isolde jumped up and held the silver-haired girl to stop her from leaving. The girl was surprised and turned around to look at Isolde. Isolde's voice was soft when she said, "Alfina." The girl looked at Isolde with strange gaze that turned at once to wonder and screamed, "Isolde." Just as Isolde was nodding, Alfina attacked Isolde and hugged her tightly. The inn turned silent for a bit, and then few people harried over. The innkeeper lady and some other old women. If I remember, this is Alfina Greymane, daughter of Erland Greymane, the greatest blacksmith in Skyrim. While I was remembering who was Alfina, a blond boy said, "I sold her for 9 years ago. Mathjar's and Bryfa's daughter?" Then turned into uproar at once, from what Isolde told us. Mathjar and Bryfa were her parents who owned the general goods store 9 years ago. As the people realized that all came to greet Isolde. Well, that was warm, and we were invited to many drinks. That blond boy saved us in time, though. He called off the party and sat with us beside Alfina. "I am John from Clan Battleborn. Sorry for the late introduction. This is Alfina Greymane, and the innkeeper, there is Hulda. We used to know Isolde since way back." He introduced himself and the others. What a polite fellow. "Hello." The 4 of us spoke and nodded. Then I looked at Isolde to introduce us. "This is Akra, and she will stay with me from today onward. This is Sviti and her brother Wolfer. And this is also a John, but you can call him John Dare." Isolde made introduction, but she forgot something. They were with me in Honor Hall. Then she remembered. Alfina and Hulda made an showing sympathy for the poor little orphans, while John Battleborn looked at me and said, "Another John? It's hard to see one of our kind these days." Indeed, I raised my tankard to him, and he raised his to me. We clinked laugh to each other. I always liked this guy as an NPC in-game. Few years from now, the Battleborn and Greymane clans will have a feud, but John and Alfina, who loved each other, will remain true to each other. Thinking about it, and remembering how I changed the fate of Wulfr and Sviti. How about I try to change John's and Alfina's? These two must be wed before 4 times 10 to the power of negative 201, or they will have it hard. So, how well do you know this city? I asked. Been here all my life. John answered. The same answer from a game. You see, I don't want to be a bother, but I heard a many good stuff about this town, and we need someone who knows the ins and outs. I made a request for a guide. Ah, you found the right man for the job, my friend. I am free all day long. All I do is training and singing. Johns declared. A bard you want to be? Did you join a college? Sviti jumped into the conversation. I'm a bit in no hurry to go there. Also, if I left some things unchecked, they might get robbed away. Battleborn made a vague answer. Oh, I was taken aback. He didn't want to leave because the Greymane clan might find a husband for Alfina. Well, that's one's own choice after all. You said you train. You were becoming a traveling bard or something. I asked him. Singing and fighting are the closest 2 arts to each in Skyrim. You want to be a good bard, you need to learn how to fight. Singing for the affection of wenches and boasting on no true heart is no Nord way. Battleborn replied with a strong voice. Well said, truly. I acted as if I was impressed by his words and filled his tankard with mead. Frankly, this guy is honorable and smart, but he's a bit lax and laid back. So what's the interesting stuff in town? I asked. You can join the companions if you want. They accept many young blood these days. Their place is the Jorvasker. You can visit Skyforge if you went there too, and you can see the glider green in the square of the Cloud District. You can go hunt in the plains or go to Old Olava for a soothsaying. And finally, the inn. Here, Old Hulda will sink you in mead if you asked. John made his brief introduction to the city and said, Rest for the night, and I'll show you around tomorrow morning. As we agreed to it, the celebrations outside cooled down. Alfina took Akra and Isolda to the castle. Akra registered as a citizen, and Isolda took back the key and the title deed to her parents' house from the Jarl Steward. As I got back, Sviti went with Isolda and Akra to that small house. Me and Wulfr stayed with John Battleborn at the inn drinking all night. After paying for 2 beds, we headed straight into Dreamland. The next day, we made an early start even when it was snowing outside. The market square was empty, so it was for the better. John Battleborn was in the inn after breakfast, and we went out the 3 of 2 jaunts and 1 Wulfr. I'll refer to him as just Battleborn from now on. So, first thing we go to the Cloud District. You can see the castle from there, as well as the Temple of Kinnereth, the Glider Green, the Old Shrine of Talos, the Jorvasker, and Skyforge. Battleborn listed the day's program. This will be a busy day, but I'm still thinking about how to help him and Alfina. I had a plan, but it's a bit of a gamble. Let's just go to tour first. I urged the 2 slow guys and made our way to the Glider Green Square. The tree was beautiful. It born from the branches of the Eldergleam tree we saw near Darkwater Crossing. I touched the trunk, and I felt the same magicka. Yet compared to the Eldergleam, the Glider Green was like a small lake compared to the ocean. It won't be bad to meditate directly to the tree. After thinking about it, I move all my magicka into the tree and absorb its magicka. Clearly not as good, but not bad either. Let's just move forward. After visiting the Glider Green, the Shrine of Talos was the next stop. Talos' statue was of a man clad in armor, holding a sword stabbing it down on a large serpent that refers to Talos mantelling Lorcan. How Nordic! I could not really understand the part about Talos and Lorcan in the lore, but all in all, Talos was a reincarnation of Lorcan, aka Shetzer, aka Sure Then Talos used a method to ascend to Goodlyhood and replace Lorcan. Correct me if I am wrong. A man in a priest robe was cleaning around the statue. This is Old Heimsker. He's the priest of Talos in Whiterun. He is having a hard time since the Empire banned the worship of Talos, yet no one mind him here. Battleborn said, then led us to a building not far. This is the Temple of Kinnereth, the best place of healing in all Skyrim, and also a beautiful building. He bragged about the temple and how beautiful it is from the inside for a while. I already knew all that. An hour later, people started to walk in the streets and went through the just open stalls. I noticed some shadow marks carved on some shops. These are some secret marks related to the Thieves' Guild. I looked for a fence and exchanged some items and information about the city. There seems to be a way for Battleborn and Alfina to be together, but I need some preparations. I went back to the boys and went to the Jorvasker, the headquarters of the companions. Have you ever seen a gym full of pros moving around and doing all macho stuff? That was it. The Jorvasker itself was the mead hall of Iskermore and his 500 companions. They came from another continent named Atmara, killed the snow elves, Famr, that lived here before and built that place. How very American. I mean Nordic. The true story that the continent of Atmara fell into civil war, people went south to a new continent and wanted to settle there. Elves were never fans of humans because humans grew in numbers faster than them. They attacked the first human city, Sarthal. Iskermore survived and fled back to Atmara to find the war ended, but it was freezing over, so he raised an army and brought them back as his 500 goons in an event known as the Return, then drove the Snow Elf from Skyrim and established the First Nord Empire. The Snow Elves went to seek refuge to the Deep Elves' Dwemer underground. The Dwemer tricked them into slavery that resulted for the Snow Elves to be turned into today's Famr, or some rather call the Betrayed. A very mean and evil race that survived with bugs and guarded the Dwemer abandoned cities after the Dwemer themselves disappeared somewhere. That was the most brief version of the story. There was more, but I can't really write it all here. If I'm mistaken somewhere, point it quietly. Thinking about that senseless story, we start watching the companions who were training their whelps, greenhorns. I could see some familiar faces. The beautiful tomboy Ela, Farkas, and Vilkas. Moving on, we arrived at the Skyforge next to the Jorvasker. It was a small stony hill and a forge onto of it. On top of it was a monument of a bird whose eyes and beak were opened in flame. Wolfer was losing his marbles when he saw the large forge that was emitting heat from a long distance. That was a little bit too much in my opinion. He was thinking of going nearer, but Battleborn stopped him, saying this is as far as people can go. I, on the other hand, was immersed in my thoughts. I can't check this forge directly, but there were a lot of fire magicka emitting from it. That may be a very good place to master fire magic, but without a proper training method, it would be extremely dangerous. When Wolfer knew that Alfina was Yerlin's daughter, he lost it once again. To him, the daughter of Yerlin Greymane must be a forge maiden, not a bar maiden. This guy has a simple head. Looking at John Battleborn and Wolfer, I remember my friends from my past life. Fatty and Four Eyes, these guys should have given my corpse a proper burial and never touched a VR headset ever again. I smiled and moved these guys away from here. I went to the Jorvasker again and asked about joining the companions. They told me that I have to stay in the city for a bit of time and become a whelp under guidance for a few days before they accept me as a full-fledged whelp. I only have few days before the next caravan to Solitude, though. Let's do that after the coming-of-age ceremony. I asked to train with the whelps for a few days, and they accepted it. I can use the training yard. Actually, they don't mind anyone as long as they know how to fight. John Battleborn lived to his family's name. He was a good swordsman. Wolfer was a shield bearer and an axeman. His throwing skills were good too. He probably learned a lot from Balmont. I showed off my bow skill to have a conversation with Ela. She showed interest and competed with me. That was a waifu from the game, so I had a good time. Her red hair was the same as Hilda, and she didn't have and paint on her face yet, which meant she isn't 16 yet. Her armor was so clumsy and big for a girl with a small build. It reminded me why she chose the armor from the game. Promising to train again tomorrow, I went back to the inn dragging the two beaten-up fellows. They gave me strange glances with their eyes. They were being beaten up by macho companions all day, and I was having an archery contest with a girl. Well, I am a handsome guy for a reason, so don't let me waste my pretty face on nothing. We went to the inn and drank again. This night, Battleborn was too tired to walk home, so he stayed in the inn. Next day was a cold. The three of us walked under the cold light of day and helped cleaning the inn. We met with Alfina, Isolda, Akra, and Sviti. Compared to us, the girls looked healthy and all well-rested. We were raving all night, after all. After breakfast, we left for the market as the girls wanted to buy stuff. Girls were girls no matter which star system they came from. We walked all noon after them. It was one of those nightmarish shopping when boys just follow girls and carry all the stuff. During that time, someone came to me and introduced himself with a code name. That was the Thieves Guild. As a member, I can get some stuff I want from every city's crew. I asked for some time and followed the man to a desolate alley. So what do you have for me? I asked. Best moon sugar in the city. If you hand it to that woman, she will do it right. The man said, You sure she isn't some trickster old crone? I double-checked with the man. She's the real deal, I tell you. She works better, the better moon sugar she uses. The man confirmed the information. I paid him and left. That was some information about Olava the Feeble. She is a woman in Whiterun who can see future reading for a price. Moon sugar is an alchemy ingredient from elsewhere, the main ingredient to make the infamous drug skooma. I was thinking about trying some skooma once, but I train all day and skooma is addictive effects can hinder me. I returned to the girls and finished the shopping, then took the boys and went to continue our tour. Battleborn showed us his house and the Hall of the Dead, where Nords bury their dead. After that, we went to Olava the Feeble for some future reading. I acted excited and urged the guys. She could do some future reading with many things that includes reading tea leaves, reading palms, and cards. The moon sugar is her trigger, though. But seriously, what's with old grannies doing drugs and seeing the future? Olava welcomed people front of her house. She was an old and weak woman. I sent her someone from a guild and gave her some of the high-quality moon sugar. I asked for a certain reading to be customized a bit. She was not happy about it, but when she was promised more high-quality moon sugar, she agreed right away. Battleborn didn't like knowing about the future to not worry himself about it. I told him he can just ask about any worthless stuff since I'll be paying. To make the play better, Olava was cooperating with an unusual way of a future reading that I suggested through my agent. She used cards. That was a bit uncommon for her usual business. You were using strange paper this time. Battleborn wondered. Your friends paid a lot of money for an accurate future reading, my boy. Olava said. We took a card each. They were empty, but we had to write the first word that come to our mind. I wrote blood. I don't know what the other wrote, though. While taking the cards and placing them in order, I made my move. I switched my card with Battleborn's card. Olava knew about this, and she moved to the first card. It was Wolfer's card. She held it with two hands and asked Wolfer, what does he want to know about? I want to know about Skyforge. Wolfer was straight as ever. Battleborn laughed, and I sighed. Olava closed her eyes and hummed. She started talking. I see a path filled with fire, a fire that no human can approach, but you have to walk that path. To reach the forge, you have to not only rely on your luck, but also on the luck of the boy who fear no fire. He will take your hand and name you his brother. I was astonished. That was one vivid reading. I kind of felt scared now. Wolfer was astonished. He found a hint to his dream. Suddenly, he turned towards me and held my shoulders with his hands. His eyes were shooting beams of happiness. Did you hear that? Wolfew asked. Yes. Congrats. Now go find that unburnable man. I asked and tried to push him. He was beaming with happiness, knowing that he had a chance. Okay, geez. Don't droll on me. It's my turn now. I pushed him away and looked to Olava. Now please my card. I said. What do you want to ask about? She asked. I'm asking about love. I said my request while joking. Everyone laughed. Wolfer said some things about why I sold stop playing around with girls. Who is that playing around? I just use my otherworldly gentleman style with my devilishly handsome face. Olava held the card and made the same posture while humming, then said, You are running out of time, my boy. If you don't hurry and make this silver girl yours, her family will never approve of you. You have 4 winters. What? What silver girl? Who is that? I made a dumb face. Wolfer and Battleborn were startled. The silver girl you love. Olava answered. I don't know any silver girl. I replied. Olava made uneasy face and looked at the card again. John noticed the paper card and looked at it. Isn't that my card? Oh, the cards were mixed up then. Wait, isn't the silver-haired girl Alfina? I made up a dumbfounded face. What? John Battleborn noticed and looked at Olava again. Is that vision true? The vision depends on the cards, my boy. Olava said to be asterisk LLSH asterisk T. I asked from her. Damn, by the 8, why 4 years? Battleborn looked worried. I apologized to him in my heart, but it was the truth. No one will believe me if I told them that the biggest 2 families of Whitron will have a big fwade 4 years from now. What made John Battleborn believe it more is what he knew about the 2 families' beliefs. The Grey Manes were Talos worshippers, and the Battleborns were not faithful to Talos that much. The soothsaying of Wolfer was 100% Olava's effort. Battleborn's was as we made in the deal. Olava returned Battleborn's card back and took my real card this time. You will still ask about love? Olava asked, and I nodded. Olava took the card and made the same stuff once again. Then she lagged. Hello, anyone home? I was about to say something, but she screamed and threw the card away. Okay, that's out of scenario. I don't know what she is doing right now. I looked at her, she said. Yes, and? I asked. Olava gulped and said, and opened her red blood eyes and looked back at me. Okay, perfect really. So, I'm having a horror romance plot twist at some point. I made a speculation. That sound ominous. Wolfer said, yeah, think twice before you think of following me around again. I mocked him. We said our thanks to Olava, and I handed her the rest of the deal. She held my hand and said, it's all true. The 3 visions are. Her hands were cold and trembling. I guess there is some truth to it. It was not afternoon yet, so we took our time walking, but the 3 of us were thinking without speaking. I looked at Battleborn and asked him if he is okay. I'm fine, it's just too sudden. John was a bit pale. So you have 4 years. I reminded him. What to do then? He was a bit in a daze. Get married. Wolfer said it. Battleborn froze. He had many things to be worried about now. I guess he won't get lax. That won't be easy. The Grey Manes won't take me seriously. John was still negative. Guess I'll give him a hand. If you want to, you can join the companions and make a name for yourself. You can go to the Bard's College and finish there quickly. You also can join the High King's tournament and make achievements there. I counted the opening opportunities for him. He thought for a while and said he will think about it. I told him to go home and take it easy, then meet us tomorrow at the inn with his decision. Let's head to the Jorvasker. I talked to Wolfer, who nodded to me. Walking to there, we entered the training yard and met with the other whelps. It was the same as yesterday. Wolfer got beaten and I shot arrows with Ela. She was only interested in my archery skills, though. She was faster than me, but I hit the marks more accurate. We told them we were leaving tomorrow for the High King's tournament and said our farewells. Next day, John Battleborn came with a knapsack and a stiff face. He said he'll head to Solitude. I knew he would do it. Alfina meant a lot to him, and he had to step up. Well, if I didn't do that, he would have done nothing even after the beginning of the game's events. He is not even involved in quests, so helping him won't affect the other quests seriously. John Battleborn stood front of Alfina Greymane. I am leaving. He said just that. I will be waiting, she said and nodded with a smile. 2 years. He told her how long it will take him. 2 years. She nodded with the same smile. Akira and Isolde were clinging to Sviti and saying their farewells to her and Wolfer. I lagged a bit behind until everyone finished. I talked with them for a bit and said some words to Akira's ears secretly. Here gaze turned cold and said this one doesn't do fluff. Damn it, so heartless. What is the point of being a Kajia girl if you don't fluff? As soon as everyone was done, the 4 of us left the Bannered Mare and headed to the stables outside the city. The new caravan started moving to the west, and it had a smooth start. The first stop will be the city of Mordhau, and the second will be Dragonbridge after passing Hjal River, then to our final destination, solitude. Chapter 15. The Team. The road to Mordhau was a pain. We had to travel with only a little rest, yet too many annoying encounters happened. First we met wolves, unfriendly as usual. Then we actually bumped into some wild undead. I got to use my hammer to its full might. It also means that some ancient Nordic tomb were unearthed somehow, or unknurned if we take the world's name into consideration. This was my first time fighting undead, and it was rather, how do I say it? It was strange. I fought with a Spriggon before, so I am no stranger to fighting monsters that used to be fantasy to me. And also I can summon some undead, but that was really interesting to see how wild undead behave. The weapon they use are ancient. Its metal is rusty, and its wood is rotten and green. Undead must be burned after defeat, so they don't spread some weird, unknown disease. John Battleborn never knew I was a mage up until he set off. I kinda don't go around saying I can do magic, so I don't get cold treatment from Nords. After a week of traveling northwest, we reached a mountain range. There were many caves here, but unless you want to travel in the wild plains of Whiterun to get a dragon bridge, you just have to get to Mordhau through the mountains. Cold Rock Pass is a cave off-road that is, as its name, so cold, but it is considered a road for some traders. I haven't seen it as an official road in game, but this was really a smart detour and also a beautiful sight to see. But what met us in the pass was a troll. This was my first time seeing a living one. The whole damn protection squad got ready to fight the moment the troll was spotted. It looked like an evil gray gorilla with long claws, evil head and 3 eyes. I offered cover by fire magic at this point. Trolls have a terrifying regeneration ability that could only be nulled by fire. I spammed firebolts at the damn thing, and I kind of pulled its aggro. Wolfer's shield took a hit from the troll, and he was sent flying. Seriously, that was terrible. To send someone like Wolfer flying can only be done by someone as powerful as Hilda. It got pinned down by spears, and I roasted it with fire. The smell was terrible, and I got injured a few times. Things went like this until the fire and the spears made the troll too tired to fight, and it died with an unsightly appearance. It wasn't an easy fight, but no one on our side died. After the fight was over, we started taking care of the wounded. There were 20 men in the team, and they were fairly strong. They could have won with some casualties, but fire magic ended the party early. The healing was done by me and those who could use restoration magic. Every time magic be useful, and there are Nords around, I always tease them and boast how almighty magic is. Some get provoked, and some argue, but troublemaking is fun that way. The caravan kept going into the pass for 6 hours. After we got out from it, we officially were in Jalmarch Hold. From here, we took the off-road way and arrived at Mordhau after a day. No one really traveled to such town. Mordhau is damp and full of marshes, so travelers hate it for a reason. I wanted to stay in the town of Mordhau to check out some game-related stuff, but the caravan leader told us that Mordhau Jarl has a bad reputation with witchcraft. I was offended and wanted to argue, but he said that this woman creeps him out, unlike mages like me. I wanted to retort, but I had no energy to. I am a mage who could conjure undead, and Morthal's Jarl Igrod Ravencrone was actually a good and wise woman with a mystic talent and magic that could make her see some events in the future in her dreams. Her children have inherited talents like hers. She was creepy and all. Actually, all the town of Mordhau is creepy if you look at it from afar. It was completely different from the game. It had the woodmill, the lake, and all these features, but it had more taller houses, and they were rather darker due to the atmosphere around the city itself, which was dark and cloudy. The reason is actually the marsh around the town, but the caravan leader wouldn't be convinced by just that. It has been 10 days since we left Whiterun. I haven't eaten something well-cooked lately, and our tent has a new resident, so it was a very weary journey. Unlike the road from Riften to Whiterun, which had 3 rest stops, the road from Whiterun to Solitude had 2 rest stops, one of them the travelers would rather avoid. One can imagine that this journey was too much on the nerves, and I couldn't study one single word. As we were finally moving on road, the caravan hasted to the west, and we crossed Jal River. Half a day later, we crossed the first branch of Karth River and went straight to the second. Karth River starts from the Reach Hold west of Skyrim and from the higher lands in Jalmarch Hold, passing beside Jal River, and they both meet in the Marches, which is connected to the sea. To pass Karth River, you need to cross Dragon Bridge. Dragon Bridge is a very ancient-looking bridge that connects Halfengar Hold to the rest of Skyrim. Halfengar Hold was the lands of the High King and the hold where the capital city of Skyrim, Solitude, is located. Dragon Bridge was entirely made of stone and has a carved dragon skull on top of it. One could tell it was a part of ancient history. I really didn't find much in the wiki, and I was a bit busy, so if I said something wrong, point it please. Passing the bridge, we arrived at a village called After the Bridge, right after it. Dragon Bridge Village was on a rocky riverside, yet it has developed nicely due to its particular location on the only land road in Skyrim that leads to Solitude City. Dragon Bridge had a mill that transports wood to the hold, and a very big, and that could be mistaken for a wooden castle the Four Shields in. The plan was to stay at this inn and head to Solitude the next day to reach it in 3 days. That concluded this journey as a 16 days journey. After arrangements, everyone was ready to sleep at any bed, even if it is in oblivion itself. I was no exception to that. Let's just not think about how to get back. Thinking about such a journey really gives me headache. I have to find a way to travel better than this. Maybe if I was under the protection of the Steed Stone, one of the 13 standing stones, I would have a better time traveling in the future. The standing stones is something that the annoying author forgot to mention. But please don't blame that guy. Currently, he's at a summer resort and trying to figure out his touring schedule. How enviable. Back to the topic, the standing stones are standing upright magical stones located throughout Skyrim. Legend tells of the stones granting special powers to heroes of old, giving them the ability to rewrite their fate. Standing at approximately 3 meters in height, the ancient-looking stones each display a different Tamrielic constellation carved into its body. A total of 13 stones are dotted across the land, one for each month of the year, and the serpent, which has no month associated with it. The stones only seem to respond to certain individuals, but it is unknown what the qualifier for this is. Under the effects of the mod Andromeda, it replaced the mundane vanilla standing stone effects with 2 new abilities per stone, and upon discovering all standing stones, each of them also grants a unique power. The Steed Stone had 2 effects, Explorer and Gallop. By Explorer, the steed increases carry weight, and with Gallop, the steed increases movement speed and stamina regeneration when out of combat. They are very good at lone traveling. I was under the protection of the Shadow Stone myself. It granted me blind power, increases movement speed in combat, and hide in shadows, which works near a wall or obstacle. It causes sneaking and sneak attacks to be more effective. Back to the traveling topic, I was planning to buy a horse at some point, but I'm looking for a good breed. Nor horses, on the other hand, are hardy but slow. They can endure the cold weather of Skyrim. While thinking about that, my heavy head already sank to deep sleep. I woke up with no energy at all. Looking at the people around me, it looked like a scene from a zombie movie. The people were still tired, and our bodies were screaming for some rest. I take my knapsack and take out few options. Stamina Restoration Potion is the best choice for this moment. I go down to the inn's hall and find my 3 friends sitting on a table and leaving a place for me. After I sat, I take out the green potion. Wolfer and Sviti saw it and held their tankards to me. I pour some in each drink. Battleborn looked questionably, and I told him what it was. He held his tankard immediately after knowing. Drinking potions in reality is different from the game. Potions are medicines, so they must be used under strict rules. Drinking them watered didn't affect their effects, so they were advised that way. After consuming the potion, we were back on track, and energy filled our bodies once more. Other travelers considered potions to be only for emergencies, so no one would use stuff as wastefully as me. Speaking of my wealth, I am actually not poor at all, even though I just left the orphanage a month ago. I used to work with the thieves, and I always trade stuff with travelers. Also, I could gather some rare ingredients like Nirnroots and other ones from around the Elder Gleam Sanctuary. I also sold many stuff I hunted in the journey to the merchants that traveled with us. I have a total of 24 gold, 19 silver, and 37 copper septims. 1G equals 10S equals 100C. Carrying too many stuff made me wish for some extra dimensional storage like the ones they get in novels. There are magics that can do stuff like that, but quite high leveled. After eating and drinking, we headed to the carriages and waited for the rest of the people. The Walking Dead arrived, and the caravan set route to Solitude. Hafingar's roads were much better than the rest of the holds. I could read the whole story of Queen Potima of Solitude. A powerful necromancer, she was. That all the hold of Hafingar was deserted after she turned it into a realm of undead. She was a septim blood, so she had a claim to the imperial throne. After her son died in the fight for the throne, she grieved and unleashed all the undead she had on the world. After death, she was sealed somewhere under Solitude. Closing the book, I dozed off until we set camp. 3 days has passed, and we could see a unique-looking and extraordinarily large hill. Or not. Let's just describe it as a rocky hill that a large river passed beneath it. It also serves as a windbreaker for the docks in the river. Above this large rocky hill, a city was built. That was our destination, Solitude. It had a large castle at the entrance of the city, which was Castle Dower, the headquarters of the Empire in Skyrim. There was also a large windmill, large towers, and a blue dome. That blue dome is of the Blue Palace, the king's residence. The sun was going down, so we had to hurry up and enter the city before dark. Entrance to Solitude is guarded by 2 gates and 3 towers. The first of these towers, situated at the crossroads, is Sky Tower. It's mostly a lookout, although in times of war, barricades are erected across the nearby road to act as a first line of defense. The second tower and first, smaller gate are collectively known as the Squall Gate. Here, attacking armies meet their first real resistance. Last and certainly most impressive is the Storm Gate. While Castle Dower, found just within the city's main gate, has always been a massive walled structure. Looking up and to the left of the main gate, one can see more rounded style of architecture that was the same as in the Castle Dower extension, as well as the windmill. Now we pass through the gates and enter the main shopping district of Solitude. Long road, it was yet clean and has few trees left and right. There also was many stalls still working. I thought the city was going to be quiet once it gets dark. YRT, it was lively. Let's just head to the inn. It's called the Winking Skeever, why you ask? Because the owner used to have a skeever and it used to wink. Skeevers are large rats, very large, that if you're afraid of rats like me, then all you can do is just spam fireballs at them from afar. That was what he said in the game. I don't think having a skeever will qualify you to manage even in Rift Inn. Booking 2 rooms and leaving our stuff at them, we go down to get information. I was looking for specific information about the tournament. The High King's Tournament is an event that happens once every year for the King's birthday. It also serves a yearly talent show for Skyrim's warriors. The tournament, 2 major events for 2 different age stages. The junior stage is for 20 years old and younger, as long as you are suitable. The senior stage is for 21 years old and older, as long as you are suitable. No one really uses magic, even though it's allowed, but the people don't like it, so it's mainly battle prowess. I won a token to enter the tournament in Rift Inn. Each hold has a fixed number of holds, so I was able to participate. Each participant can have his team in the tournament. They could be chosen by the participants, and the limit was 5. I was planning to go in with Wolfer, but we picked John Battleborn from Whiterun, and our chances were better. I wanted to have the upper limit, but all the people I could find were senior stage. Let's hope for the best anyway. There were 5 stages: duels, shooting, horsemanship, team duels, and the most devastating of all, Battle Royal. The duels were by challenging each other's. One can challenge each participant or helper once. Even helpers can enter the ranks of this stage. Its time limit was the whole damn tournament. The shooting was at the range by time and score. Each participant and helper had only one chance to shoot whatever they are good at, from arrows to axes to knives, and even magic. The horsemanship wasn't much different, except it was for many targets, and you ride in a track while shooting at them or hitting them with a melee weapon. The team duels were elimination matches. The battle royal was on the last day, and it was a last man standing match free for all. There was an arena in Main Yard Castle Dower. First day was the speech day. The king and the jarls, along with the other emissaries, will gather that day to congratulate the king and challenge each other along with the other famous warriors. The second day is the day of duels that all the senior and junior teams would gather and issue challenges to each others. The duels can keep going for the whole tournament, but must be issued beforehand, and you can't challenge the same person twice, which means after you challenge him, he can challenge you. The shooting matches will be held from the 3rd to the 5th day. The horsemanship from the 6th to the 8th day. Both have 3 days, and it would be determined by the score of the highest team member. The team duels are the main event of the whole tournament. It starts at the 9th day and ends at the 12th. 32 teams eliminate each other and rise for the champion title. In Skyrim, there were no 2nd or 3rd place nonsense. We Nords won the whole damn thing or go back to where we came from. The champions would receive Skyforged swords for the participant and his helpers. These are one of the few ways to get your hands on a Skyforged steel. If I get one, then I'll turn the whole damn Skyrim upside down for the best soul gem and ask Nurina to enchant it. After the team duels, the 13th day is a break and rest for the 14th day, the Battle Royal. The legendary last man standing free for all Battle Royal. No alliances allowed, just some good old pure Nordic mayhem. I read a brief note about this before, but that big announcement on the wall of the inn made my blood boil. Many teams were with us in the inn. Some teams were with their sponsors. We all looked at that announcement notice, and some people read it for those who can't. These events were for both junior stage and senior stage. I gave everyone their mission. Wolfer, Battleborn, and I will focus on training for now. Sviti and Battleborn will register in the College of Bards and will focus on our propaganda. The best place to neuter a bard is in the stage of fights, so Sviti will sing for us as a cheerleader. A beautiful girl with long black hair and lean figure will give us popularity. Battleborn will go with a sword and dagger, as his duelist style was. Wolfer is my shield bearer, but I used to call him Tank, and I will go on with a hammer. Finally, the team must have a name. My naming scene is terrible, and everyone knew that. Actually, I haven't given my hammer a name for that very reason. After planning it all in 10 minutes, we'd make a team name. I conjured all my past life knowledge to get a good one. After 2 hours of cursing and mocking each other, we came to a decision. Our team's name will be... I spent 3 hours thinking about a name and never got one. I know how terrible my naming sense is, and I always rely on name generators, but you guys deserve better. You guys help me with the name, or it will be a disaster next chapter if I picked it up myself. Also find a name for the damn hammer. Chapter 16, Day 1, Start of the Tournament. The team name was White Wolves. How we arrived to this name was funny, really. A traveler named Gorchan was sitting on table next to us. While we were arguing about the name, she said, "How about Gwynblid?" which meant White Wolf, so we accepted it. Thank you, Gorchan, for helping with the name. I took the most like comment. Thank goodness I didn't steal a team name from the king's avatar. The hammer will be Agni-Are, gods of sun from Hindu and Egyptian mythology. Thanks for Alex Tolo's suggestions. As long as it has something Egyptian in it, it works. After a day, Sviti and John Battleborn came back to the inn with high spirits. Both have been accepted after passing the test of the college. Sviti already had a recommendation from 5 years, and Battleborn has been singing for a long time. Both passed from the first test. One of the teachers in the college advised Sviti to make a more artistic name, as her name was fine and all, but it was plain and people may not remember it well, so it would be better for her to make a more catchy name. Sviti came back to the inn and took suggestions from us. Another naming battle occurred, but Sviti already had a name in mind. She named herself Linley Starsung. I was amazed for a second from her choice. The name was the same name she used to hide herself from Sibby Blackbriar after he killed Wolfer in the game. I didn't know why, but fate was kind of scary. Once upon a time, she'd choose that name to hide. Once upon a time, she'd choose it to be famous. Let's just say that things are going for the better this time. I toured the city for a while yesterday alone and spotted few shadow marks of the Thieves' Guild. I tried to find a fence, but all I could find was an Argonian from the East Empire Company. His name was Gulamii, and he offered the information I needed. What I was after was information about the other 31 participant from the juniors tournament. I had to buy a booklet with the info for 8 gold septims. The booklet contained accurate information about each participant and their origins, ages, sponsors, what skills are they known for, and their possible helpers. Most of the sponsor participants and the high-end gamblers already had these booklet, and the Argonian told me that the gambling on the junior stage is much more fiercer than the one in the seniors. The juniors are new blood and not as known as the seniors, so people tend to gamble more on the unknown participants. And the known seniors' duels are less in number than the hot-blooded juniors. Also, most of them don't even bring helpers. So, from all that, all the junior matches are the important ones, while the seniors is only in the name of honor of fighting against the best opponents. That also explains why the rewards of the junior stage is much better from the seniors. Once I looked at the names in the list, I found many interesting ones. Each clan, organization, and faction has sponsored someone. From Solitude, there were 5 teams. Most of them have the word wolf, like us, as it was the city symbol for sponsored. Whiterun sent 4 teams, 3 of them are companions. All were sponsored. Mordhal sent 3 teams, 1 was sponsored. From Riften, 4 teams, including ours, 2 were sponsored. Falkreath sent 3 teams, only 1 was sponsored. Markarth sent 3 teams too, 2 were sponsored. Windhelm sent 5 as much as the King's City, and Jarl Ulfric sponsored them all. Winterhold sent only 2 teams, 1 was sponsored by the Jarl, and to my surprise 1 was sponsored by the College of Winterhold itself, which meant there will be mages. Dawnstar sent 3 teams, which all of them were sponsored. Jarls, weapon shops, mining companies, and guilds could sponsor many teams. Even the king himself can. Of course, none of that was official, but sponsor teams would have much better gear and potions compared to other teams. Ulfric Stormcloak himself sponsored 5 teams. This man was aggressive as ever. One of the teams directly called themselves the Stormcloaks. The companion sponsored 3 teams, but that wasn't strange for the fighting guild of Skyrim. The king sponsored a team of the best juniors in Solitude, called Golden Swords. In our section in the booklet, my name was written and was mentioned as a talented kid who grew up in the orphanage of Riften. As for the skills, then this boy has many rumors about him, but we could say he is trained for only 5 years. As for his helper, we could only suspect a blacksmith boy who always followed him. The boy is talented as a blacksmith, which only means he has a strong build. No sponsor was found, so no one knew about John Battleborn yet. The Battleborn clan is big and old, but they don't compete, because the Greymanes don't compete too. The Greymanes are the clan that was paid by the king to make some of the prizes of the tournament. John Battleborn competed under a no-sponsored team of a different city, so no one will make fuss about it. I was reviewing the booklet information with my team as we reached the castle's main yard. Castle Dower Front Yard, the place where the fights will be held, also allowed the participants to enter the place for training. We had 4 days left for the tournament, so we went to train and see the other participants. This place in the game is the place on must go to for joining the Imperial Legion, so I kind of knew how it would look like, but it was larger than I thought. I also thought it would be strange to make an arena here, but the preparations I saw made me in awe. It was a good job making all that. They made places for the spectators, and 1 got the VIPs. There were enough places to take 5,000 spectators with ease. We picked a corner and started our warming up. Some teams were here already, but their armors and weapons were poorer than even ours. After all, we have a personal blacksmith, me a coin digger, and also an apprentice alchemist. Battleborn was from a rich clan and had brought his coin purse with him, so we all were at a good standing. After training, we went back to the inn as. For days has passed, and many people gathered in the arena. High King Torig and Lady Elisif, as well as the Jarls and the Thanes of all the hold were here. High King Torg thanked everyone who came and wished for a fair and a good tournament. The Jarls made the same and congratulated the High King for another year of his reign. Ulfric Stormcloak wasn't that nice to Torg, but he said the customary speech. After that was done, the famous warriors of the Holds and the Jarls started challenging each other. Jarl Ulfric challenged Jarl Balgruuf. Galmar Stonefist challenged Balgir Bearclaw. Thane Byrwylwyn challenged Irileth, the famous Dark Elf, and close aide to Jarl Balgruuf. Unmid Snowshod, last year junior champion, challenged Brunwulf Freewinter, last year's senior champion. All these matches were to hype up the tournament and to make things more spicy. They all ended with draw, except for the champions matches. Brunwulf Freewinter sent Unmid Snowshod flying with his hammer. What brought an end to the day was King Torg's match with Jarlgmund of Markarth. The king, of course, won. What a sham. The people cheered, and then the participants and their helpers were invited to the middle of the arena to listen to the king's speech, which was directed for them. He said few words of courage and honor, then we had to cheer and make ourselves look like some crazy Nord warriors. Only after that we could challenging the hell out of each other. An hour later, I was bored and wanted to slip away and do some reading or anything just to discover that Wulfur received a challenge. And to my surprise, the challenger was from Team Blacksnow of Riften, and he was none other than Sibby Blackbriar. Blacksnow team was made of Sibby and his brother Hemming along with this Jeer Snowshod. The three rich brats of Riften, or as I like to call them in order. The annoying, the wimp, and the idiot. So that bastard came here. And he came all the way by himself to pick a fight, fine? Wulfur, have his head, I said to Wulfur, who nodded with a sneer. Of course killing is not allowed. He thought he can win against his Truma if he won against my friend. Too bad what was known about Wulfur is only that he is a blacksmith boy. Well, unless you are a troll, you can't do anything about Wulfur's shield, the High Dam. The High Dam is a shield 1/1. 5 meter of smooth steel enchanted with fortified block effect, and its weight is something that scares me. I barely can carry it. Of course, Wulfur's physical strength is above that of mine. He can carry the damn thing and run around with it. I also suggested to him how to make a charge so he can bash people away. Wulfur always carried few normal axes that can be thrown and fought with, and no one would want to receive an axe thrown by him. He also liked to wear heavy armor, and one of his dreams was to create one of the sets in my sketch notes as his armor, using Skyforge, of course. His style was that of turtle that can jump at you any moment and may throw scary axes at you. He also can use a flail, which was a Morningstar mace with a chain connecting the stick and the mace itself. Let's just call his style the Hopper Juggernaut. Wulfur carried his shield with one hand. How admirable. He walked to the middle of the arena and stood front of Sibby. Then he walked right like a lion, sizing up his opponent. The people were taken aback by the Iron Man, Wulfur's behavior. He really was acting a bit cocky for a 15 years old going against someone older. He took the flail from his side and positioned his shield ahead of him. Sibby was a sword user and also carried a shield and was donned in an expensive-looking armor. He made a pose and stood face to face against Wulfur. The announcer came, voice sounded. Here comes Sibby of Blackbriar clan. Fame is his name. Shiny is his armor, and sword is not plain. He issues a load challenge to an Iron Man, with a shield too heavy. So what's his plan? The artistic words of the announcer made the people anticipating the fight even more. Bets were set, and the judge voice sounded. Sibby Blackbriar of Team Black Snow and Wulfur of Team White Wolves. Fight with honor. Don't kill. Don't poison. Don't use dirty words in the presence of the High King and the Jarls. Any of these actions will revoke you from the tournament. Understood? The two nodded and looked at each other fiercely. That's the spirit. The judge gives them the permission to fight, and Sibby charges like a mad person. He tried to kick the shield, but Wulfur was as steady as a rock and didn't attack back. Sibby tries to clash shield to shield, but Wulfur bashes shield against Sibby, who was about to fall. Wulfur was smiling. He could hear his sister speaking among the crowd, cheering for him. She used some artistic lines as the announcer a while ago, and some people was actually liking his heavy shield style. After few clashes between the two, I could feel Wolfer already had enough fun and was going to wrap this up. He bashes away Sibby, whose face was red after being played around so much. But he takes few steps back and puts himself in a charging posture. This was something you can see at RPGs known as Night Charge, and Wolfer kind of liked to do it. Sibby was huffing and looking at the big shield and its bearer and was glaring as if his eyes were about to shoot out fire, then her ran to Wolfer. Wolfer was waiting for this. As soon as Sibby ran, he jumped ahead in a charge and closed the distance in a second. What could Sibby see was a shield growing so big in a second that it strangely felt so close. What the people saw was a beeline of a human and a shield that was about to bump into another human. A sound of clash could be heard, and someone flew. That was Sibby flying away after being charged at. In my past life, we call that hit and run, but the culprit was a car usually. This time it was a man with a shield. Sibby fell to the ground, and the whole arena went silent. They thought it was going to take a bit longer, but Wolfer was as if a car had hit a person and couldn't stop his charge that easily, so he had to take a second to stop. The judge looked at Sibby and found him unconscious. This was all to it. A fast win is a fast win. This was expected to happen, but it was reversed in some people's minds. Everyone thought that the Blackbriar boy would play around with his heavy opponent and tire him slowly, but that charge was just too absurd. Even some of the Jarls were discussing how to deal with such a thing. After a while, people came to carry Sibby. Wolfer came from the stage and stood with a dissatisfied face. "What?" I asked. "TSH, too easy. That evil bot asterisk I was just played with." Wolfer was expecting some more. "Man, you are just that good." I sighed and refuted. Some people looked at him from the VIP stage. This was a good opportunity to pick up good talents from the unsponsored teams. Few matches later, we received another challenge, and this time it was me. The challenger from the companions' first team, Farkas. Why is that ice brain is looking for me? I carry my hammer, which was named Agniare, and headed to the stage. The announcer started spewing some B asterisk LLSH asterisk T about the companions and how unlucky the opponent is. I looked at Farkas and raised my brows. He smiled at me and said, "I saw you in the Jorvasker before, but I didn't know you were coming here. Illa said you were a good fighter, and it happens I don't have anyone to challenge." How arrogant. You don't have any of those great fighter in your eyes? I asked while laughing. Bah, these are some rich milk drinker or people who are trying to be picked by the rich. You don't look like that to me. Farkas was serious, though. Fine, game on. I raised my hammer, which was resting on my shoulder, while saying that. Farkas carried his two-handed broadsword and took his posture. I also made my stance and held the hammer with both hands. The judge gave the permission to fight, but we didn't move. We just kept glaring at each other. The first to give up at this staring contest was Farkas. He tried to swing his sword horizontally, but I swung the same time with him while taking a step back. My aim was not his body, but the sword's pommel in his hand that was still in swinging motion. My speed was higher than him, and I could land the hit accurately. Farkas was surprised as the sword flew away from his hand, and his hands became red and started shaking. I tried to take the opportunity and strike him again, but he was still ready, and he kicked me in the torso, sending me back. I barely recovered from the kick. This guy is stronger than me, but a bit slower. He jumped back to take his sword, and I gave a chase. Once he reached his sword, he swung it back at me, which I had to dodge away and retreat a bit back, but that was the beginning of my headache. Farkas relied on his strength to push me back again and again. I couldn't find a good opportunity to make a comeback at him. On this rate, it will be bad for me. I slowed a bit and waited for him to charge at me. With a step to the right, I dodged him and attacked with a kick to his knee. I could see his face turn a gunnish from the sudden kick. His armor covered most of his upper body, but his lower half was not that much guarded. I, on the hand, had a full armor of reinforced leather leg and arm guards, which were made of leather and bars of metal. And enchanted as well, I had a good piece of plate armor on my torso and chest as well as a helmet. My armor was light and protective, Wolfer's best work. After a few tries of pulling and pushing with each other, I found an opportunity while he was making a sidestep and ambushed the leg he was leaning on. Soon after, his posture crumbled, and I found a chance to hit him with the hammer on the right side of his upper body armor. His breathing worsened, but he was like a maniac. He threw away his sword and jumped at me from 2 meters away. I hurriedly took a step back while spinning my body around itself, and in the process sent my hammer to his other armor's side. His jump changed direction midair, and he fell down holding his side. The judge comes to him and checks his injury. Then he ends the match with me as the winner. Farkas was hurting, but he smiled while he was being taken to the healer. This guy likes to fight, I am sure of it. Let's just get along with the companions from now on. After a while, John Battleborn was challenged, and he won with style. After his name was announced as a Battleborn, the VIP area was in a stir, but they calmed down when they found out that he wasn't even in a sponsor team, let alone representing anyone. He was here on his own. The day came to an end, and people reevaluated the participants once again. Let's just say that my team has got a better standing, and we won many of today's gambles. Not a long chapter, but I was not in any mood to write today. I may start writing smaller chapters to make it easier on myself for the time being, and to be able to continue longer. Chapter 17, A Good Bath, a Good Fight. Check out our new group on Discord. Link at the end of the chapter. Enjoy. Healing magic can erase fatigue. That's something I learned the hard way. One night, when I was absorbed in reading, I cast healing on myself to resist sleeping, and I was still 9 years old. The next day, I collapsed from fatigue and got scolded by Nurina. After that, I made a decision to take it easy when recovering from fatigue, and the best way was through a hot bath and a good sleep. Luckily for me, Solitude has a bathhouse, and the participants like me who won and were witnessed by many were treated like nobility in that place. The bathhouse was outside the city near the river, a place where men spend time away from their wives. It was an open space with a water wheel to draw water in and a boiler to heat water, along with many small and tall white tents. Every tent has a wooden tub. Winches a bathhouse were its #1 feature. You can go in there, spend your money, and go out with a wide, happy smile. There are also some other services like cleaning clothes, and there was a barber. I'll definitely use all these features. I was beaten up the most after my match with Farkas, so I needed it the most. Using healing will only close my wounds and protect me from any internal injury, but won't heal my soul. So, I took the boys and went to see the bathhouse. I must admit I didn't expect that many wenches, but it seems that the bathhouse owner expected many visitors during the tournament. And as the lucky customers arrived, just first thing after the tournament, we saw a lot of girls ready for duty. But damn it, no Khajiit wenches found. Barely some Bossmare and Dunmare girls, the rest were humans. Well, as my saying goes, if it doesn't have a chance to fluff, then go back to the original human way. I go in with most expensive 2 girls, a red guard and a Nord. All that under Battleborn and Wolfer cold gazes. You could do it too. I won't tell a soul. That's what I said before picking a tent and disappearing with 2 girls. Removing my gear and clothes, I sat in the bathtub while asking the red guard girl called Xena to take my stuff for cleaning. The other girl, whose name was Alishka, started washing and massaging my back. I must admit, this feeling is a blessing. All that month of traveling, I have seen my naked body few times as I swam in some river for cleaning, and it was cold as oblivion itself. I kind of missed the bathrooms from my past life. Mirrors in this world were rarely found, and I could see myself in as my reflection in the water. My muscles that I never had in my past life were in a good shape. My body is 8 meters, and I still has a chance to grow more as I'm not 18 yet. My face was as handsome as ever too. My red hair has grown very much lately that I have to tie it together. I took many of my looks from Hilda. My blue eyes had a strong color, and my brows were a bit wide and darker than my hair. If I had a beard, then this young man will be a true killer. I smile for a bit, and it seems like the massage has kicked in. Bring me some of the city's spiced wine, I say, sending the girl away. She nodded and ran out. I hurriedly take my knapsack I brought with me and take out a white potion. This secret potion is something I found in an old book of alchemy. It was about preparing a potion from Troll's ingredients called Essence of the Troll. This potion definitely came from mod SCH******NGS of Skyrim. It has the ability to make Little John grow in size. I gulped it and put the bottle back. A few seconds later, the magic started to happen, and the effects were great. I felt like a troll, New York one. I closed my eyes to calm my mentality and keep my thinking straight. A minute later, the two girls came back with few bottles and cups. A small cup in my hand, a Nord girl with an alluring body in my back, and a Redguard girl with dark skin and athletic muscles in my front. Short minutes later, I drank the whole cup in one go and looked at the girls while losing what's left of my sense. Throwing the cup away can only be followed by pulling one of the two girls on my hips. Though I was a bit greedy and pulled the two. Elishka's body was soft and sensual. Zena's body was very well toned and had soft muscles. I couldn't say which I would prefer between those two. I'll just have to find out for myself. I pulled the strings of their one-piece clothes. They became wet long ago and revealed most of the goodies already. I was sitting in the tub, and they stood up to undress. After removing their one-piece dresses, they became in their battle suits, ready and waiting. I stand up along with these girls in the tub, ready to take my time with them. I could already make guesses on how good these girls were, but that was too shocking. That Elishka girl on my left side is definitely using UNP Bless Body in its most voluptuous options. Her body is sinful beyond redemption. All these curves and canyons made me lose my words. DeBella did quite a good number using Body Slide Studio. These east-west melons, the hourglass figure, the soft skin and the long brown hair, the eyes which were downturned yet her hazel pupils were screaming desire. All the contrapsoles with no soul trap spell. On the right side was Xena. Her figure was as if it was dancing with the vapor. Her torso was thin but had the perfect amount of muscle for a dancer. Her body was not as sinful as Elishka, but it was more flexible, and she could bend it anyhow. Her melons were round and ripe. Her face had a hint of thrilling danger in it. Her eyes were amber, and her hair was black in curls that fitted her dark skin. I didn't know where to start, so I picked a girl in each arm and started a kissing round with them. I don't know how it went, but Little John was having the time of its life in the girl's hands. A little while after, I pressed on Elishka's head down as she kneeled in front of me and started giving a special attention to Little John. I carried Xena, and she wrapped her beautiful athletic legs around my torso as my hands went everywhere around her body as our lips never parted. A while after, I sent her down with Elishka. Now Little John had all the attention in rounds. Not long after, I could feel my soul being trapped through Little John, and it became messy down there. The effect of the potion I took a while ago was making wonder as Little John was demanding more attention. I could see the girls decided to teach that insolent fellow some manners and bake it in the oven. Xena came behind me and pushed me on Elishka, who was laying in the tub. The tub has lost most of its water due to moving around all this while. Elishka leaned on left while opening the gates of Tartarus to receive me in. I couldn't help but take that woman on. Her everything was so captivating that refusing such invitation from such person may conjure the wrath of heavens on me. We answered the call of desire and stuffed Little John into the oven. It was hot and wet as if it was powered by magma. Staying like that for a while is the best option to take while waiting for Little John to adapt in. We couldn't leave the rest of the game unmanned, as I had to go left and right making Elishka's moan loader. Our moans needed to be suppressed, but I had only one idea on how to do that, and it was a successful double suppression. Xena wasn't free all that time. She used her lightweight to cling on my back and joined the game of me and Elishka. I could feel her round melons on my back all the time. Little John had already taken his time adapting and had to retort to that hot oven. It went back and advanced again. All the vigor started to return to it. Outside at the gates of Tartarus, Elishka's moans were hard to contain, and I was no better. Her legs were wrapped tightly around me. Due to the shaking, the sound could be heard as if Kronos himself was trying to break out of Tartarus. Elishka's leg lock meant that the only way outside is through. I must put down that woman or her demands won't be satisfied. Xena made the matter worse. She was moaning just from hearing us moaning. Couldn't help but to send a hand to check her oven. It was already spewing magma, and Little John was fighting hard on one front right now. After a minute, Alishka's body twisted up and down as her oven sent all its magma at me. Her arm can't support her anymore, and she let her strength loose as her gate of Tartarus crumbled before mighty Kronos. Should I change it from Little John to Kronos? Next was that troublemaker Xena. I grabbed her fiercely and took her on Alishka. Their faces met, and Xena was out of sanity, clashing even with the fallen Alishka. Alishka sobered a bit and took Xena head-on in a long kiss. I center myself behind Xena and invade her oven with Little John. That place was tight and perfect. Little John started action immediately. Xena was moaning crazy, and Alishka was suppressing her lips to lips. I held to Xena's back while working on her oven. After a while, I flipped her to face me. She rested her body on Alishka's, and now I had the two girls cornered and ready to be played with. I moved from Xena to Alishka and took my time with both. Not long after, Xena's oven was giving up all the magma it had to Little John. That was it for round 1. Round 2 and 3 came after until Little John finally gave it his all and made mess all around the girls. They were too tired to stand, but a minute later Xena stood and washed herself and Alishka. Then they washed me again, and it all was clean. I couldn't help but smile. This was my first time in this world, and it was fantastic. Living a normal life on Earth made my standards so demanding in this life. After washing, the girls dressed me and remained naked in front of my eyes. "Master, come to see us again." Xena waved while making a fake innocent face. "Yes, sure." I was satisfied beyond description, so I just waved away. On my way out, I saw the bathhouse mistress glaring at me. I walked to her and said, "Hey, your friends have already left, and you owe us 2 hours." The mistress said, "I already paid for 2 hours." I retorted, "I paid, and these people won't work unless be paid to." "These were the first 2 hours." The lady said with scary cold eyes. "But wait, what do you mean the first 2 hours?" I couldn't help but ask stupidly, trying to think it was not true. "You blind boy, it's already evening. You have spent 4 hours. The woman said something I was trying to mishear. "FF, 4 hours?" I was holding myself not to cry it out loud. Seriously, what are these girls thinking? I even went to yell at them to hear them moaning 2 tents away. No girl could take business around you. The woman was shaking her head in anger. I was speechless. What the hell did I do this time? Was it the potion? Damn it all, this is scary. But to hear her moans 2 tents away is absurd. I must apologize. Sorry about that. Next time I'll take a tent in the corner. I was trying to come up with something. Next time you take it into the secrecy rooms where no soul can hear you. Pay up and leave already. The woman yelled at me. I paid and went to the side of the bathhouse. There was a barber shop with an alt-mare working it. I asked for a trim to make my hair short and stylish. Unlike the noobs in Rift Inn, this man was an expert. He even witnessed the fights and bet on me, so his win was good. He told me to come back and was very friendly. I have a poor opinion of high elves, but this man was all right. His name was a Mikolo, and he had a shadow mark on his shop. It was a triangle with a circle in it. This place was a safe house for escaping thieves. Looking at the mirror he provided, I could finally see my face to the clearest detail. I had been trying to find such a good mirror, but of course, an expensive hair stylist would have one. Even Irina, who was rich and capable, doesn't really have mirrors. What I could see in the mirror was I, a young man with racial features of Nord such as blue eyes, pale skin, and colorful hair. But after asking for the same taper hairstyle I used to have in my past life, I already confirmed what I thought of long time ago. The facial features of my past life didn't change much. The colors of my hair, eyes, and skin were the only things that changed. My eyes were the same Egyptian wide eyes with the saber-like brows. I had the same small nose and the full long face. My chin was a bit thinner, but that's due to healthy diet. This was not a dream. Me is still me, just a little luckier and much more handsome. I returned to the inn and found the boys drinking in the first floor. I went and sat down. They looked at me with half eyes and kept staring. Don't even start thinking about it. I was not in the mood to be lectured. They looked at each other and sighed, then gave me a bottle. Say, Wolfer, what do you think of our brother here? Battleborn started it. Normally, he is a man among men, yet he has taken it a bit too far. Wolfer talked in a low voice, but not minding me at all. I sat down while looking at that exchange. You mean he is manlier among men now? Battleborn exclaimed and continued. Say, how long did you last? A tad less than an hour. What about you? Wolfer answered and asked back. Same as you. Battleborn gulped and answered while averting eye contact. You saying that this bastard lasted 4 times more than us? Wolfer made a calculation. And with 2 girls. Battleborn made it worse. Damn, they both said together while looking at Little John's location. I caught goosebumps. Calm down, guys. This was just a huge misunderstanding. I got a trim on the way back and visited some places. That's all there is to it. I made excuses. Look at him knowing no shame, as if we didn't go to check on his tent before we leave. Battleborn said with disdain. TCH. He's a Khajiit lover after all. He even lies as much as them. I bet the first thing he did when he arrived at the bathhouse was to look for Khajiit wenches. Wolfer said, damn it. He found out that much. It took me the whole night trying to clear away this scandal. Next day, I woke up and was in a good shape. Yesterday was great, and today is having a good start. Breakfast tasty, weather warm, birds chirping, bards singing, and morning coffee, What a blessing. Coffee can only be bought in solitude from the East Empire Company, so I'm taking all the coffee with milk I need. My friends woke up a little while after me, and they looked at each other with their sleepy faces. They said in unison F***. What a I just woke up before you guys and ordered your breakfast too. Who is the bestest friend in the world? I retorted. That won't make me feel any better. Just admit it. What kind of a potion did you gulp up yesterday? Wolfer retorted back and asked, didn't you guys drink the stamina vigoration potions? I remember giving them 1 each. One wouldn't last 1/3 of the time they lasted yesterday. I think you took something different, though. Battleborn made a speculation. I did. Remember that troll we killed on the way here? I said it without hiding it. What of it? Both said in unison. I extracted few ingredients from its marrow and made a medical potion that can enhance one's properties to the point of wonder. It never said anything about the duration in the prescription, though. I declared with a grin. Look at him having no shame. He tricked us with some cheap potions and gulped on the good stuff. Battleborn said with a stiff face. And saying it enhances properties, but didn't say anything about the duration. Taking us for fools? Duration is a property, you fiend. Wolfer said with another disdainful face. Such a way is no Nord way. Battleborn continued. Ismir's beard. What does this have to do with Nord ways? I couldn't take it anymore. I'll say anything as long as it makes you feel worse. Battleborn spoke his true intentions. So it was like this, fine, I'll make you guys 1 each. Told you he is our brother. Wolfer smiled while drinking. I know, one can tell a true Nord when he sees one. Battleborn kept making Nord-related nonsense. I couldn't muster any power to retort anymore. These guys caught many bad habits from me. I couldn't help but smile, though. I had once felt that feeling before. Fatty and Four Eyes were like that, too. We did all sort of weird stuff. We swore to do all fun stuff that are expensive, immoral, and fattening. I, as the one who actually made real money, was in charge of the expensive section, and the two took the rest. I'm sorry I left you guys earlier than I should. Or maybe these two are your incarnation in a different world, and heaven was so kind to bring us together this way. I don't think I'll ever know, though. An hour later, we walked out of the winking skeever and headed to the castle where the arena is. We didn't want to accept more challenges, so we dressed like normal people. I walked up in my unique, stylish, otherworldly customized fashion. In Rift Inn, I requested many unique clothes, such as modern-looking shirts and pants. Tailors aren't that skilled in these parts, but I could get my hands on few white shirts that could be worn like robes, those from Witcher 3, and fit tight dark-colored pants. I also like to wear custom-made fur jackets on them for the cold days. My boots were made by me, though, in a sports boot style. They were soft, and I learned an enchantment that removes smells and infection, so they're the best for all purposes. I looked stylish in my own eyes. My taper hairstyle was just fitting the whole thing. I only needed some shades, a watch, and a thin chain necklace, yet these stuff can't be found in Nern. I had black Dwemer eyeglasses that originated from the mod Realistic Eyeglasses. I put on a very stylish amulet of Akatosh and some small bracers. I didn't carry any weapons as I couldn't ruin this style. I could just shoot spells if I need. Wolfer always wore Nord robes that fit his large build along with a triangular hat that he liked for some reason. He also had an axe on his side. Battleborn wore some fine clothes from expensive shop nearby, and his sword was hanging from his side. Let's head out and watch some matches. We went out, and as if the world was going in slow motion, we walked in the street, Battleborn to my left and Wolfer to my right. I don't know how could I hear Led Zeppelin Immigrant Song, which I didn't mind at all, as it seems the author was listening to it, and it strangely fit the mood. We looked like rich people, even though only one of us was. The other two were fresh out of the orphanage orphans. Sviti, or who became Lindley as of late, joined us on the way. That girl was always being spoiled and protected by us, so she could be considered our little sister. Reaching the castle, I showed my token and went right to the special seats made for the teams. Team White Wolves, one of few teams that didn't lose at all in the challenges, so we had a good reputation already. Along with our beautiful Lindley, we already became famous. The arena was front of us, and there were a lot of applause as it seemed that a member of Team Golden Swords of Solitude was challenged by a member from Northstar from Dawnstar. These teams were ones of the teams that were sponsored. The first was sponsored by Torg himself, and Northstar was sponsored by the Jarl of Dawnstar, Skull the Elder. I don't really know these guys well, but one guy was a blonde with a very shiny armor and a bastard sword. His name Arger Swifthill from the Golden Swords. The other guy was Ongium Scarmouth, a tower of muscle with 2 axes each hand. Knight style versus barbarian style. This must be interesting as the two of them were not helpers, but the main participants. Arger was a handsome guy with a tall blonde hair and good height. He looked to be one of the future king's men. His style is a bit mysterious to me. Ongium was 2 meters in height and wore a leather armor with 2 axes in hand. One could tell his style was speed and power. Ongium took the initiative and kicked the ground flying at Arger, swinging his left axe from upwards. Arger, who took a stance, made a step dodge in the last second. He was not really making any effort, but Ongium was not that simple. He followed with his right axe horizontally at Arger, who was on his right covering his side, and making Arger retreat again. Arger jumped back and took a stabbing pose. I thought that he would launch himself at Ongium's opening, but he just waited. After Ongium approached, Arger started stabbing and slashing and stabbing again. It looked messy, but it was so accurate that wounds and cuts started to appear on Ongium's body. Ongium, on the other hand, became slower and could only retreat while guarding. I couldn't see a rhyme to Arger's sword, but he was something else. He was aiming at precise locations in his opponent's body. That was like a surgeon, but he was dismantling people, not fixing them. I must admit it, he is good. As good as me and Farkas. His hitting speed is really high, but his body is not that strong. That's why he would rather wear a heavy armor on his waist and his arms and legs only in protective light gear. The same also goes to my gear. I think I want to fight him, but my hammer will get in my way. Let's think of that later and watch the match now. Ongium was having a hard time. His right arm has many cuts, and it was barely moving now. I think that's as far as he goes. But to my surprise, he jumped back away from Arger's blade and lagged for a second. Arger was giving a chase, but once he started cornering his opponent, a fast shadow attacks him. He was able to protect his head, but his shoulder guard was grazed and blood oozed out. It seems that Ongium was waiting for Arger to chase, and he threw the axe in his left hand once Arger wasn't able to dodge. Wise move, but now he had lost one of his weapons. He switched the axe on his right wounded arm to his left and charged. On the other hand, Arger was in a daze after taking the hit. He staggered and lost his momentum completely. One could hear few girls screaming after he was hit. He barely started to react when Ongium's shadow approached him. Ongium was going for blood and was really in a bad mood now. He didn't swing his axe, but he attacked with all the might he can muster in one straight kick. Arger received the kick and flew backward. He coughed blood from his mouth, too. That kick carried all Ongium's stress from the start of the match. I really like these two guys. They have good judgment and also strong. Arger's recovery was fast. He took his sword and was about to stand, but a shadow covered him, and he could feel the air changing from a certain direction. He dodged backward while on the ground. It looked like he could read his surroundings well. What caused the air to change was Ongium's kick upward. He wanted to launch Arger again. Once he saw Arger dodge, he used his left hand and attached with a high arc towards Arger in the ground. Arger had no time to breath, but that was not a problem. All he could do is roll to the side. Once he could find a chance to put his feet on a solid ground. Without even standing, he leaned on his left hand and used the sword with his right to stab at the nearest spot of Ongium. The stab went into Ongium's left thigh all the way through and blood gushed out. Ongium fell, and the referee made his announcement that he can fight no more. A healer ran to Ongium to stop the bleeding and remove the blade. Another ran to Arger to check on him. I must say that match was something else. I really made a good decision to come today instead of participating in the shooting range. Duels are way much better after all. Arger was hailed as the winner, and many girls started jumping around. Seems like this handsome fellow is well known in Solitude. I can't lose now. I don't have a weapon, but I need to fight or else my adrenaline rush will go to waste. I look around for anyone who can fight. The arena was full due to Arger's and Ongium's pre-announced match, so I had to take the chance. After a few seconds, I spotted a tall elf woman in a college robe. She was an altmare with 3 boys and 2 girls around her. From her outer appearance, I could guess that she is one of the NPCs I know. That is teacher Faralda from the College of Winterhold, master-level mage at the Destruction Major. So they were here too. I don't have a weapon, but most of my enchanted gear is on me. The belt, the ring, and the amulet of Akatosh that gives Magicka regeneration. I walked to her and greeted. If I am not mistaken, you are Master Mage Faralda from the college? High elves get things done quickly when people are more polite. It is wizard when you add the word master to it, and your information is not right, though I would rather would be. My rank is still that of a wizard, but that's of a little importance to people outside the college, I guess. Faralda said in a haughty manner. I feel like I was scolded just now, but I can't point to where it was. Anyway, she was no master yet. So, by any chance, are your people up for a challenge? I cut to the chase before any annoying idea come to her head. I don't understand. Why should we join these barbarous acts of common folk? And why should my students fight a no-name like you? Faralda kept spewing nonsense again. This woman is annoying, so you guys came to fight or not. You can't refuse a fair challenge once you are challenged, or it will be considered a loss on your side, right? I spoke to her students directly. These guys looked to each other, and one of them stood. I am Rusning, the main participant. Whoever sent you, I'll take them on. His name was Rusning, and he wore a blue college robe with a hood that. He looked Nord enough for me, so, as his teammates. It seems the college used their Nord students for this tournament. I guess they want to make their image look better with Nords. The people started to look at us, and they knew there would be another match. I'll be your challenger, I said. You? But you aren't even armored or anything. Rusning said. He looked at my unusual appearance and gave me a weird look. I don't go around unprepared. Let's get this over with. What should I call you with? I asked. Just my name is enough, he replied. I nodded and walked to the arena. I found the referee and told him that I am issuing a challenge. I then walked to the middle of the stage with many eyes looking at my strange appearance in tight pants and white shirt. People started pointing at me, and I could hear words of, "What is he doing with no gear?" and stuff like that. I stood in the middle and raised my voice, Rusning from the College of Winterhold. I challenge you. This was the simplest way to call someone out for a challenge. Some people would exchange weapons and stuff like that. I could see Rusning standing and was about to come, but Faralda stopped him and whispered something in his ears. Probably she is suspecting something. Rusning nodded and came down from the seats. He held no staff, so this meant he will spam many spells at me. He stood towards me and did nothing at all, just waiting for the referee. The announcer didn't know what to announce, so he only announced our names. People were not really understanding what's going to happen, but Nords and Solitude were more open-minded than any other place, so they didn't cheer for me just because I am against a mage. They waited too. Rusning was waiting. I was waiting too. The referee announced the start, and we still didn't move. I was thinking of which spell this guy will shoot. I need to at least know the element he likes to use and think of a counter. That's how Nurina and I sparred. My favorites are Lightning the Fire. Lightning because I just love electromancy as a skill and fire because I am very good with it for some reason. This guy, as Faralda's student, must be a destruction monger if that was a word. He sighs and starts to call spells on both hands. From their appearance, he is going to use Stone Skin and a fire skill. Fine, let's get into business. I used Stone Skin too and changed it to Conjure Flame Atronak. The people were startled seeing me use magic. No one came here expecting to see a mage fighting another. Some were scared, some were hyped. The VIP section was partly empty, but due to the previous matches, Torig and Scald the Elder haven't left yet. They sat back, and all people started to show interest. Rusning was narrowing his eyes, and Faralda had a look as if she was saying, I had a feeling it might be the case, but it really is. He fired a firebolt at me, which I received with a normal lesser ward. I thought of hyping up the atmosphere and shot the spell in my other hand. What happened was a space distorting followed by an appearance of figure on fire. It looked like a female and was hovering around itself. That was a flame Atronak. Before anyone react, I summoned another flame Atronak. My conjuration skill was good and second only to main mysticism. This was also due to the mod multiple summons that makes the conjurer summon more Atronaks and raise more dead with every rank up. 2 flame Atronaks stood in front of me, and the people just realized what happened just now. Some people screamed, and some looked in daze. Some children were very amazed by what they saw. The 2 Dater creatures I summoned made the arena in a stir. Rusning was calculating his strategy fast, but why would I give him time? I commanded the Atronaks to fire and made another 2 spells ready. They were my signature quadrant ward on my left and a bound sword on my right. Rusning started spamming ice spells, and my Atronaks dodged left and right. My control over them was good, and I also could summon 1 creature more, but my control would worsen over 3 Atronaks. An exchange of spells were going between Rusning and my Atronaks. I ran to the side and charged at Rusning. He was observing me the whole time, and as I slashed at him with the spectral sword I bound, he jumped away and fired an ice spike at me. I used the quadrant ward in my block it and charged again as my Atronak started blocking his escape routes. I am not even done, yet I slash again and again, and he retreated to use fire magic and deal with me as it wouldn't actually harm my Atronaks. My strategy was to counter his fire magic with my flame Atronaks, which don't get damaged by its own element. As I drive him to a corner, he fired a bigger firebolt. I didn't think much about it, tried to dodge it, but it was fired to the ground right next to me. I suddenly understood, but I was too late. He also ambushed me by using apprentice-level spells, and then used an adept-level spell. This was Fireball, and it tends to explode. My stone skin was on, so I didn't get harmed, but I took the next flight to the other direction of the explosion, and took me few seconds to recover. Rusning used that time to deal with an Atronak swiftly, and the other was going down. I couldn't let him have his way, so I canceled the ward and fire a lightning bolt at the insolent fellow. Mages tend to hate lightning damage and try their best to avoid or block it. Fortunately, Rusning momentum against my Atronak made his reaction speed to my long-range attack slow, and he was struck nicely. I could see his face turn anguish as he felt a chunk of his Magicka pool fly away. Lightning is a counter mage's magic, so he was disadvantaged with a good strike. I kept firing few lightning spells again, but he was ready, and I couldn't spam lightning forever. It was the costliest element for a reason. My Atranax were already defeated, and I dispelled my spectral sword. Me and Rusning needed a breath for the coming showdown. We looked at each other and read spells on both hands. I readied sparks, and he readied flames. According to the mod Magic Duels, if two spells met in the way of each other, a channeling contest shall begin by pushing each other with destruction elements. Rusning took a pose by positioning his hands to the right side in a dual casting way and summon his fire. I do it more stylishly by raising my hands in the air together and summon my lightning. Two beams of channeling spells gets fired against each other and clash between us. I raised the output a little by little, but Rusning was going all out for some reason. It caused my beam to get shorter and being pushed back a little. This was fine. I haven't even spent much magicka, so I was confident, but I could see Rusning's face sweating already while grinding on his teeth. I took a deep breath, and I raised the output more and more as my blue beam took back its original length and advanced against Rusning steadily. Rusning was not able to move, or his magic beam will get disturbed. His beam was at its end as my magic crashed into Rusning directly, sending him flying. He flew for a few meters and hit the ground hard. The referee came and checked on him to find him safe and conscious but out of energy. My win was declared, and people actually liked what they saw. Torrid kept clapping, but Scald the Elder looked indifferent. He clearly hated mages. Anyway, I had a good fight. That was all there is to me. By that time, I hoped strong people would come and challenge me. At the end of the day, I was still thinking about going to the bathhouse or leave it for later. Chapter 18, Madness. Third-person POV. The night of the second day of the tournament was cheerful, and many people started to celebrate after witnessing the amazing fights of the day. Two fights made the people of Solitude lose their minds. Arger Swifthilt versus Ongium Scarmouth were two blood-boiling. Many young boys, after that match, wanted to learn the ways of both junior warriors. But the second match was too flashy that it covered the hype of the first match. Magic, as a dreadful force in Nord eyes, was the cause of many misfortunes. The Oblivion Crisis, when the Daedric Prince Maroon's Dagon tried to enter the realm of Nirn, was caused by extremist mages. The Great War was against the High Elves, who were also mages, adding to that the Great Collapse that destroyed Winterhold and left nothing behind except for the College of Mages. These events made magic in Skyrim a dreadful force, and any Nord who associated himself with magic to be alienated and shunned by Icebrain Nord societies such as Windhelm. But today's matter was another deal. A young man called John from Team White Wolf challenged a boy from the college whose name was Rusning. John and Rusning were both Nords, and they used magic in beautiful ways. John used summons to counter his opponent's dominant element and trapped him again and again. Rusning was not bad either. His only disadvantage was that his opponent was too capable and too cunning. Rusning's ability to spam spells and control the fight against multiple summons and a caster showed how very capable this young mage was. When people who knew of magic started explaining to common folk how refined the match was, people started to take a new idea of mages. Mages were capable of destruction, yet their way of fighting was never this refined or beautiful in others' eyes. A mage can easily blast his opponent sky high if his opponent was a warrior of an equal rank, but two mages fighting made mages' matches much better than it normally used to look like. The children who was admiring the first match's warriors started worshipping the second match's mages in their hearts secretly. One could not tell, but the college's purpose of participating in the tournament this time was fulfilled in an unexpected way, even though they lost their match. In a particular manner, near the Blue Palace of Solitude, a tall woman wearing a sky blue robe was sitting on an expensive-looking chair while looking at a young man wearing a deep blue robe. Her gaze at him was emotionless, but he was not looking back at her. He just looking to the ground while standing in front of that woman. A wild mage. That's all we could find about him. An orphan from Rift Inn that can use magic and barely left the orphanage a month ago was able to defeat a trained destruction mage from the college. What the F asterisk asterisk K was that? Someone explain it to me. The tall woman was shouting. That was clearly Faralda. The young man looked up and squeezed what's left of his courage to talk to his teacher. But master, his magic was so strong. You could see him able to control many Atronax and using conjuration to a strong degree. I couldn't have much space to breath. He said, "That's all you have to say? Fine. Then what about the duel? What the F asterisk asterisk K was that? He was clearly an apprentice rank mage. You were a journeyman mage already. How could you lose that bad?" Faralda was shouting her lungs out at Rusning. "I don't know, master. I could press him at first, but it was like pushing against a wall for a second, then the wall started pushing back." Rusning said, "A wall? Are you F asterisk asterisk king kidding me? Why would a Nord, let alone a wild mage, would muster such a strong magicka? He wasn't even a Breton for oblivion's sake." Faralda was angry. She stopped and looked at Rusning again, then said, "You failed the college. You failed me. And unless you atone, I'll deal with you when we return. Now get out." Rusning turned around and left hastily. After he walked out, Faralda was huffing from anger and threw away the stuff on the end table next to her chairs. Outside the room, Rusning stood with a sad face. His friends from the Destruction Major stood around him showing support. There were the two boys Holman and Svedal, and two girls Svefna and Jolma. They were the best Nord students in the Destruction Major. Actually, Rusning was better than many other students and was at the rank of Journeyman Mage already. "How is Faralda?" Jolma asked. In a scary mood. Rusning answered with heavy emotions. Faralda was his teacher, and no matter how haughty that alt-mare was, he never hated her. "We really didn't see this one coming," Holman exclaimed. "It's not strange for wild mages to exist, but this one was truly powerful." Svedal said his judgment. "How powerful was he?" Svefna asked. "In terms of technique, he is good as us. His casting speed and the speed of changing between spells were so refined." Rusning said, "In terms of control, he is not lacking when it comes to conjuration. His wards were very good too, but his destruction is a bit hasty and uses too much magicka." Everyone went silent. There was a strange statement came from their friend. "But if he used too much magicka, then he shouldn't have lasted this long against you, let alone win a direct duel." Holman said, "That's where I find it strange. I thought he was away his magicka early and flatter in a direct duel, but that was not the case. I pressed on him hard in the start, and his spell fell to mine. You all saw that." Rusning said in a gloomy voice, but he suddenly felt like a wall. "He stopped me and undid my spell with no effort at all. Mara's mercy." Svefna took a step back and covered her mouth. "What do you mean, was he an elf or something?" Svedal made a strange face. "It felt like that I was against one. His magicka was bottomless, and he was pushing me back with ease. Dueling against that guy is a mistake." Rusning said his understanding out loud. "Then, how shall we atone for that defeat?" Jolma asked. "That's my mess to worry about, but that was more than an eye-opener for me. That guy's style is amazing. I'll send some people to check on his matches. In the meantime, you guys go challenge people and win. Make a name for our college, and never underestimate anyone ever again. Some hidden experts might pop up any second. One last thing, never fail teacher Faralda." Rusning as the team captain regained his spirit and gave instructions. "Yes." The other four shouted and left. Rusning looked towards a room he just walked out from and left. Behind the door, Faralda stood, leaning her back to the door and smiling. In an alleyway behind Solitude's Hall of the Dead stood a single figure covered with darkness. The figure was hiding its features and looking around in high alertness, looking at the street outside the alley for a while, then going back to hide again. Every once in a while, the figure would check outside the alleyway for something. While the figure was going back to the alleyway, it bumped into something. The figure jumped in a fright and looked at what he bumped into. Sure enough, it was another figure standing there that came out of nowhere. The first figure was scared but controlled the fear within its heart. He was here from the very start to meet a person, and here was the person. The figure removed its face cover, and it was none other than Sibby Blackbriar. He looked pale and scared. You're one of those people? Mother have deals with you people? I, I, I asked for your people's help. Sibby talked in a shaking voice. We do, but we don't help. The other figure spoke in a voice of a young girl, yet it was full of wickedness and evil. After hearing the voice, Sibby relaxed, as he could tell that the voice was of someone of the same age, but he turned stiff again. The person in front of him was by no means ordinary, if that person was sent by these people. Right, you don't, you get paid. Sorry, do you need anything else? Sibby was scared as he handed over a purse of money. Keep your money. We take payment after we deliver. The girl replied. Fine, anything else? Sibby was starting to finally relax. The figure stood silent for a while and kept staring at Sibby. Sibby, who was just started to relax, broke into cold sweat again. What? Sibby cried in a low voice. Isn't there anything I need from you? The girl asked. What is it? Sibby was scared but asked. I don't know. You were the one who called me for. The girl asked. To kill someone. Sibby woke up from his panicking. Perfect answer. Clap, clap, and? The girl mocked Sibby. What else do you need from me? Sibby's stomach started to hurt him from fear. Obviously a name. The girl in darkness replied naturally. Sibby was stupefied. How could he forget such a thing? Yes, about that. He is a boy from Riften who came here to the tournament, an orphan with the name of John. Sibby was hesitant, but he spoke with hate once he got down to business. Then he said kill him, the slower the better. The assassin girl in the shadow raised her brows and thought, that talented boy. He offended the Blackbriars? Fine, the girl said while turning away, but she stopped and said, You know, I stood in front of your mother once and I was with a senior of mine. The air she gave made me tremble, but for a Blackbriar, you are a PU*****y. Sibby stood in a daze, and as he could no longer retort to that person, she left after insulting him. Normally, he would retort and make a fuss, but since that day, when he tried to play his tricks on that boy, he never became the same person once again. He could be domineering in front of people, but it was all just a facade. He could never forget that shout. He was so traumatized by it that he never had a good sleep since. He could barely hide from his siblings. He could hide it from his mother, but he knew he couldn't hide his fear forever, has had to face it. But this year was the year, after he trained his heart and mustered enough courage to face that person. He would face him and kill him where he stands. Yet life was cruel. He couldn't face him when he saw him. He could muster that courage he trained for long. All he could do was to challenge the other boy who always followed that person. He wanted to vent his anger and fear before he challenged the person. No, the beast he has to slay. He wanted to crush that boy so he can face the final boss. But reality was even crueler. He was defeated so bad against another orphan that he felt he would have to kill himself. What did they feed them in that orphanage? Why did two monsters come out from such a place? He could no longer tolerate it. First, he needed to find a way to kill these pests. He needed a killer. The Blackbriars had many of those, but his mother would find out. So he had to find someone else. An assassin. His mother dealt with those people. He knew about it. Nearly the whole city had a rumor that Maven Blackbriar is in cahoots with the thieves and the assassins. He would do that then. He would call for them. They will kill that beast for him. He is rich and they take money. Why was he so stupid and didn't do that before? This is it. He was happy he could find it. They always deliver. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him, 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 kill him. Kill him. Chapter 19. The Crazy Poet. The wimp gave name. For whose came doom? With swift leaps pace. She goes back home. The sky was dim. The night was grim. That girl had ran. On rope and rim. She jumps and rolls. On roofs and walls. As darkness dances. When silence calls. She climbed on roof, chanting the proof of darkness door, in place so aloof. And where she ran, there sat one man, of wisdom deep, and witful plan. She neared him there, in utmost care, with some dead name, a boy John Dare. Have you finished writing your nonsense? A boy voice sounded. The boy was wearing a tight outfit of black and red. He was also wearing a small hood covering his head. What responded to the boy was a girl. She was a thin girl with a dark aura. She wore the same outfit as him, but she was crawling on something, and it seemed to be a journal. The girl had a pale skin and few scars on her left cheek with an eye patch on her left eye. Her hair was black, tall and tied. Her ears were pointy, but not tall like elves. She looked ominous as he was grinning to her journal. Stabrius, you know I can't resist writing poems when I have fresh ideas. The girl talked with no sanity in her eyes while looking at the words she wrote. Maybe focus now. You've got a contract, and we must get to business. The boy named Stabrius came and held the girl from her shoulder. Have you spoke to Viezer yet? The girl who was looking at the journal with lust glared to the boy with scary eyes, because of his interruption, which caused the boy to back away. He said this night was a good night to shed blood in the name of the Night Mother. Maybe he said, so which one of us is going? Stabrius looked at her and asked. Both of us. The target is as old as us, but he is too talented. We'll strike him in his sleep, then run for it quietly. She said and continued, Viezer said that one of us is to attack while the other stays hidden. If the target becomes aware, the attacker runs, and when the target tries to chase the other, takes his life from the back. Failure is not an option as always. Stabrius made a sigh while saying that. Let's head out. The nights of first seed, March, is long and poetic. Maybe you stood up from crawling. I may catch on a good ending for the poem. Stabrius sighed in his heart again and again. This girl was a lost cause. Her heart was 1/10 on the kill and 9/10 on her poems. She always wrote poems for every contract. She was not that bad either, as Viezer, the senior who mentors them, didn't mind them at all and said that every assassin had his or her style that keeps them sane. But that girl was insane. Stabrius wanted to retort, but he couldn't. Even though that girl could barely focus on her kills, yet she was still more skillful than him. He could only follow her lead and do as she says. Even though he hated it, he couldn't do anything about it. Tonight, they had another contract on one of the tournament's new rising stars. He was both mage and warrior with high agility. Frankly speaking, that was a scary talented person, yet strong people have the same weakness as anyone else. They have to sleep. Striking while asleep is the normal style of Slayer's rank in the Dark Brotherhood. Mabia and Stabrius went to the rooftops and jumped through them numbly and unseen. After half an hour, they arrived to the other side of the city. It was the shopping district. The target lived in the inn, so that was where they had to sneak into. They, as professionals, could easily locate their target. What was left was to figure out the fastest way out. After a minute, all was done. Mabia and Stabrius climbed the wall that led to a certain window. That window was of the target's room. He was staying alone in a room, so that made sneaking much easier. Now, the time to act. The target was confirmed to be sleeping. Stabrius was to go and kill, while Mabia was to cover his back. They opened the window with swiftness, and Stabrius sneaked in. He approached carefully then. First-person POV. Tick, 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 tick. What? Why is that reacting now? I open my eyes. This is my alarm spell. It detects people with hostility, and I charge it with enough magicka for it to last a day. But why in this hour? I don't understand, but I can't be negligent. If someone wants to ambush me, then I must ambush them first. Now think quickly. First, where's that person? I don't have Detect Life spell, but let's detect the magicka around. There, outside the window, 2 magicka signals. Less than average, probably humans. No other signal seemed to be out of place except for those, so let's make preparations first. Lately, I learned a new spell, and it was good. It was Lightning Rune. It could make a magic circle appear on a solid surface, and once something steps on it, it explodes with lightning. Let's go with that for now. I casted the spell under the mat near my bed and covered myself to act sleeping while preparing another spells in my hands. One was lightning bolt and the other was stone skin. I can't wear any armor now, so I need to be protected. Once the presences started approaching, I could feel them right outside my window. Few seconds later, a figure descended quietly and sneaked near me. From a half-opened eye, I could see his gear and the skin of his face. That looked like an Imperial man with the Dark Brotherhood gear. Damn it. What did they want from me? The assassin came closer and unsheathed a dagger. Before he could have a chance to jump onto me, lightning broke out under the mat. The rune under the mat exploded in lightning and struck that assassin. Soon after, I casted the stone skin and jumped out of the bed, then shot the lightning bolt on my other hand at the assassin. After too much lightning went through him, the assassin fell and could no longer defend. What happened after surprised me, as that guy took his dagger again and jumped at me. I reflexly took the dagger from him with a disarming martial skill, and without thinking, I buried the dagger in his stomach. This was my first time stabbing someone like that. I could feel his muscles twitching from pain and his power seeping away. Getting stabbed like that is a kill, but a slow one. I don't like torture, so I have to finish it. I took the dagger from his stomach and raised it up. After my hand descended, the dagger rested in the heart of the assassin. This is my first time to kill a human. I don't know how other felt, but taking a life like that is not something I wish to do indiscriminately. This is not the game after all. I can't go around and murder all day. These are people. Anyway, all that happened in a second. The other assassin only noticed that something went wrong after I disarmed his mate and couldn't react till now. I guess there is no need to be polite. As I was making me resolve to give a chase, my room's door was opened with a kick. "Come your horses, sheesh." "John, what is that noise?" Wolfer came in, and after him was Battleborn. "Assassins," I said. I took care of one and going after the other. As I finished, I saw the belt that Wolfer uses to carry his axes in his hands. In no time, I snatched 2 axes from him and jumped through the window with an axe each hand. I could see the other assassin was running on the roofs. Is that so? Time for some parkour then. The roofs in Solitude were dormer roofs, so they were easy to run on. I take my left and run towards the edge of the roof. There were a wooden pole from the street that carries some lanterns. I hopped on it and straight to the next building's roof. After arriving on a roof, I ran forward a few meters, then jumps to the right. As there were wooden poles linking between buildings, I ran on them to the building across the street. That was repeated few more times with some flips and backflips until I narrowed the distance between me and the damn assassin. From the way the assassin moves, this must be a girl. I don't really care. I threw the axes few times, but the other party could really dodge, and I had to collect these axes and run again. This is not getting me anywhere. While I was thinking that I could feel a presence running in the street, it was Battleborn with a bow in his hands. "Hey, where's the assassin?" he shouted. "Just ahead. Listen, I need you to run towards the Fletchers and station yourself in good spot. Have a full view of the roofs. We'll corner in the market." I made a hasty plan. "Fine, Wolfer is behind, but he'll catch up to me. Good luck," Battleborn said, and ran towards the castle. "Now, let's corner her more." I ran towards the direction where the girl disappeared. I knew exactly where she was because I was detecting her magical energy. After a few seconds, I caught her trying to mislead me and hide, but I casted a spell at her, and she ran again. I had to focus my spells at the direction I don't want her to run to. The plan was going so far so good. Her speed was good. I indeed can't catch up to her on open field. A minute of running felt like an hour, but I managed to bring her where I needed. Now she was trying to run on a wooden pole, but as soon as she found a foothold on it, an arrow broke the air and buried itself in her thigh. I could hear her scream, and the girl's balance was already lost. She fell from the pole that was 4 meters high. That was not really a problem for a trained person, but she was falling on her head. As I was watching, I saw someone waiting to receive the falling girl. It was Wolfer, my man. "Good, catch the assassin," I shouted. He nodded with firmness on his face, but what I saw next left me dumbfounded. I told him to receive her, but why is he carrying my hammer, Igniare, with him? Hey, wait, this is not how you receive a girl. Just grab her and bend her down. I wanted to say all that, but it was already too late. Wolfer used the hammer like an experienced baseball player with a bat. He directly hit the falling girl horizontally in her stomach. That was a talented blacksmith using a hammer in combat for you. What I saw was not unexpected, but still left me in awe. The girl flied to the market square with a beeline. Damn it, Wolfer. After a second, the girl crashed on a stall and fell to the ground. The place was empty, thank God. I jumped from the rooftop and ran to Wolfer, then looked at the girl. She appeared to be in agony after she took the hit. Some burn marks appeared on her body due to the enchantment on Agniare. Damn it, man. That was a girl you hit just now. I looked at him and took the hammer. A girl? Wasn't that an assassin? Wolfer asked. Yes. I answered. An assassin girl? Wolfer made a dumb question. Isn't it possible? I questioned his logic. But whatever, that girl started to move again, impressive. Suddenly I saw a cold light, and my reflexes kicked in. I kicked towards Wolfer and sent him away, followed after a silver beam of light passed through his location. The girl threw a knife, and it was lethal and accurate as hell. The girl crawled on all four quickly and entered some alleyway. I ran after her and entered the alleyway, but another silver beam was sent towards me. This girl is persistent. A minute later, I could hear heavy huffs from the alley. That must be hers. She was cornered and had only few bones intact to move her arms and throw stuff. Battleborn and Wolfer were behind me. Battleborn was ready to shoot, and Wolfer was smashing some wood barrels with his axe. Wolfer made a large wooden shield and positioned in front of him. Battleborn went behind him, and I was the last. We invaded the alleyway with few sounds of knives sinking in the wooden shield. After a while, the girl ran out of knives. I went out of the shield protection with my guard up. I could see her under the moon's light. She was a thin girl with dark short hair. She already removed her hood and masked a breath. Seems like Wolfer's strike made a score on her lungs. Her left eye was white, as she has lost its sight long ago. She also had many scars on the left side of her face, old ones it seems. Her skin was a pale, and on the sides of her head there were short, pointy ears. Half human, half elf. Nerina told me about them, but that's my first time seeing one. The right side of her face gave off her beauty, but no matter how pretty she is, she was an enemy. I don't like killing, and I hope I don't need to resort to it. I used Bound Dagger spell on my left and walked to the girl. As soon as I reach her, she tried to kick away, but she was already weakened. I grabbed her from her neck and tightened my grip while lifting her up. I could see more agony, and she raised her hands to attack me. I expected as much, so I used the Bound Dagger in my left to stab her shoulders. The girl screamed. Sorry for being cruel, but we have two ways to end this. The easy way or the hard way. That depends on how fast you loosen your beans. I said like a character from some spy movie. I dispelled the dagger and changed it into a calm spell. I am not training in illusion seriously, so I put more magicka to make the effect stronger. As soon as the spell was casted on the girl, her expressions changed from pain to madness, and her shaking body started to calm, yet my hand holding her neck remained locked. Answer to me, or answer to the guards, for an assassin girl. Jail is only the start of misery. I made a statement with a deep voice like O.L. Delvin's. The girl glared at me, then laughed like a mad person, but I returned it with a slap. I could hear Battleborn and Wolfer behind me saying hey while looking away from my act. Sorry, guy, but one needs to act like this to make a good understanding with that type of scum. After receiving the slap, the girl didn't stop her crazy laugh. Wasn't him, but I could hear something fall to the ground. It looked like some journal fell from the girl's clothes after being shaken by my slap. I threw the girl to the wall behind her. She coughed as fell on the ground with no power, but she looked at the journal with madness, as if she had dropped her child. She moved her crippled arms to catch it, but she was slow. I stepped on one of her arms and picked up the journal. She looked distressed with madness after I took the journal and wanted to move, but I kicked her stomach. I was actually very angry, and I have a bad habit of acting impulsive upon anger, so I did what I felt like I want to do. Due to the kick, The girl screamed with agony. I thought she was overreacting, but I remembered that Wolfer just hit her there with my hammer. Oops, sorry, I completely forgot. Battleborn was shocked at my actions and held my shoulder while saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" But before he could say anything else, Wolfer caught up to him and shook his head. "Well, sorry you had to see that, guys." Suddenly, I could hear heavy footsteps and more than one presence running to our direction. I didn't turn, but the guys did. A light fell on us, but I could already guess who was that. Still, I hid the journal in my clothes hurriedly, then turned. "By the order of the Jarl, stop right there." A loud voice sounded. Chapter 20, Day 4. Then Kill. Yes, that was them, our very iconic Skyrim guards. Well, there were 4 of them, dressed in padded armors with red cloth rounding it and tightened by leather belts, helmets made from wood and steel, as well as spears and swords pointed at us. "You caused damage to property and used weapons in a restricted area. What say you in your defense?" The guard in the lead shouted. "We were chasing an assassin." I moved to the side while saying, giving the guard a room to see the girl. The guard's eye behind his helmet widened when he saw the gear of the assassin. He could tell, too. It was the Dark Brotherhood's gear. "Impossible. Hurry up and arrest her." The guard urged his comrades. After garbying the girl, the guard looked at us. "You must come too. Causing the damage in the market and using a weapon can be overlooked, but the assassin matter is serious, so we will need your statements." He said, "There's a corpse of another assassin in the Winking Skeever. I killed him in my room." I informed the guard. The guard was taken aback and looked at me with amazement. "Damn. Taking down 2 assassins in the same night? What are you?" "A Dragonborn," I said. The guard said, "Huh," with a stupid voice. Wolfer cut in and said, "He always says that joke, don't mind him." The other guards laughed at their colleague and took us away to Castle Dour's dungeon. We sat in some empty room with a small window and few benches to sit or sleep on. Our weapons were taken away, but no one minded the journal on me. I opened it and started reading. "That girl, she is crazy. She is talented, crazy, and dark. When we trapped her in the alley, she was writing in the note with her blood. I can't tell if she had a poetic fetish or something, but the part which was written by blood was about me. A boy did sleep, and a boy did sneak, and death was waiting which to seek. As one was waiting wide awake, and one was dying with no shriek. As seen she ran she could no beak, at death was calling gloom and bleak. As mother disown me lone, to crush my flesh and bone. He'll strike me, he'll bash or slice me. He'll come and kill me soon, so soon. And I thought I was a dark child. Let's keep that knot for now." I read few parts, but she was very careful not to add information in her journal. All I could tell that the one who asked for my death was a wimp in her opinion. I don't know any wimps, neither do I waste time on such people. Who would hate me this much? Not the college kids or Maven Blackbriar, probably. I guess the guard will have to find out. Now, while we were at it, I instructed Wolfer on more magic training. This guy has a good compatibility with fire magic, much better than average, and after I started convincing him to gain fire resistance by training in magic, and how will it make him resist the lashes of Skyforge, he agreed to it right away. Battleborn, on the other hand, was only interested in restoration, not for the healing effects, but for the attacking effects. Restoration had many nasty spells, much nastier than destruction, and even conjuration at some points. Spells that devastate the undead and spells that weaken the opponent like Leech Seed and Welling Blood. After a few seconds of teaching those guys about the aspects of every school, the door of the room opened. Whoa, watch the magic. A guard stood at the door and was in awe of the amount of magic he saw in the room. A man in armor pushes the guard to the side, then enters the room. The guard noticed and said, "Sorry, Captain. What's going on here?" The man looked at me and asked. "Nothing. Just training some healing magic." I answered. "You are healers? Seeing what you've done to the assassins, I say I would never fight with a healer ever again." The man said and laughed. "I'm the commander of the guards here in Solitude. You can call me Captain Aldous." the man said while shaking hands. So that was him. He is an NPC. I must apologize in the name City Guards. Our duty was not fulfilled by watching over the residents, so the bounty for 2 assassins and a bounce shall be paid to you as soon as the king receives the news. Captain Aldous said, "Oh, thank you. No one really can blame the guards this time. The Brotherhood is scary after all, haha." I said, try and be friendly. Captain Aldis's eyes were wide open. He held me from the shoulders and looked serious. You could tell that was the Dark Brotherhood. What is strange about that? Mara's mercy. The Dark Brotherhood. Battleborn was shocked. Well, the gear kind of gave their identities off. Is it hard to not recognize the Dark Brotherhood? I asked while feeling something was not right. No common folk can just recognize the Dark Brotherhood when they see one. Captain Aldous said, "Well, I came from Rift Inn. I can recognize assassins and thieves from their gear, though." I said that as an excuse. Rift Inn really is not a safe place. I remember the stories that the guards who accompanied the king said when they went there. Captain Aldous understood. I'm safe. But to get targeted by them, aren't you worried? He asked. Rather than worried, I want to know which bastard wanted me dead. As long as the payer can't pay, the Dark Brotherhood won't come after me. I said, "Did you get anything out from the assassin?" I asked. She didn't speak, but we found out something. The girl and the boy you killed are known as Barisa and Valero. These 2 are from Team Bloodhand. Their staying location was raided a while ago, but the place was clean. We were trying to get something out of the girl, but tutoring her mate kill her in that state you left her in. Captain Aldous said, "So, can I see her? I will heal her so that you interrogate her." I said, "Sorry, this is an official business from now on." Captain Aldous said, "But I can inform you once we know who wanted you dead. May I ask for another favor?" I said, "Let's hear it." The man said, "Can the city guard take credit for the killed assassin?" I asked the man, "What? Why would we do such a thing? You will get rewarded for that, you know." Captain Aldous said, "I'd like to be rewarded and all, but I don't want to be targeted for vengeance by the Dark Brotherhood. They rarely fail, and I don't think they as fanatics to an unholy creed will make someone like me get away." I gave my reasons, even though they were not just that. "I'm fine. If it's for your safety, then we'll do it like that. I will also increase the guards around the inn." Captain Aldous said, "What a nice guy." I thanked him and went away with the boys. After we got back to the inn, there were some guards who came to investigate, and everyone in the inn was awakened. Sviti was worried, but we assured her. The news spread in the city like a wildfire the next day. A rising star gets targeted by assassins, and the assassins got killed and captured by the guards. Someone will be very furious today. I went to the shooting range outside the city, near the stables, and found some seats. There are not that many as people as in the arena, but it was still crowded. I find a place where I can register and see the rules. The shooting methods were open. One can use anything as long as it reaches the target. Wolfer will throw axes and javelins. Battleborn will use a bow, and I will use magic. Each round has 3 stages. The first will be shooting the red targets between the blue targets. The second will be shooting the red targets floating in the river. The last will be shooting the flying targets. That was pretty much it. It was boring, and I finished it in no time. My time was around a minute and a half faster than most archers or throwers as I used lightning bolt spell. After the contest, I went back to the city alone, but I met someone unusual on the way. It was Gulamii, the Argonian fence of the Thieves' Guild in Solitude. "It has been a while, John Dare," Gulamii said. "It has. What can I help you with?" I asked. I actually knew he would come, but that was too soon. "I heard you were attacked based on some misunderstanding yesterday. A friend of mine wants to have a word with you." He said, "A friend? Is it the assassins?" The Thieves' Guild and the Dark Brotherhood had a good relationship and understanding as the biggest 2 underground organizations, but that was another story. "What does that friend of yours want?" I asked. "To talk, nothing more," Gulamii said. "Fine, let's see what they have to say," I said and went with Gulamii. The docks of Solitude were large and had many ships. Unlike the game, the ships were coming and going, and the place was bustling with life. We reached the office of the East Empire Company deep in the docks area. Gulamai entered, and I followed him. I could see an Altmare and an Argonian waiting there. This is Mikolo on of ours. Gulamai introduced me to the Altmare. Yes, we've already met, I said and offered a shake to Mikolo. Mikolo is the barber from Chapter 17. I never thought it would be you, Mikolo said while shaking my hand. Gulamai interrupted and introduced the other person. This is Jimzaw. He is from our business partner's side. Jimzaw appeared to be an Argonian with 2 horns back on his head, and his scales were green. He was wearing normal clothes, but I felt he is strong. I can't tell Argonians apart, actually, but that maybe is Viezra from the Dark Brotherhood. Nice to meet you. I am John. I introduced myself. We heard about you, but we never thought you were one of our friends' people. I must apologize for the matter of yesterday. Jimzaw said. I came okay from it. Can't say the same about your people. I said, being no polite at all. It's a shame, truly sorry about it. Jimzaw said, but I need to ask you what exactly happened that night. I thought you would never ask, but I am not that fool to tell you the truth. I sighed while looking down, acting tired, but I was rechecking my cover-up story. I looked to Jimzaw and said, I was sleeping soundly that night. Suddenly my window was opened. Normally anyone wouldn't feel it so fast, but I am not used to the cold of solitude. As I started to feel aware, I could see a shadow for someone with a dagger on top of me. All I could do was to kick at it, and then I fired a lightning spell. It was not hard for the other people to hear the lightning, and Aldean woke up. Your people ran, and we gave a chase. Finally, the guards cornered them, and one was killed while the other was taken. You know the rest. Jimzaw was scratching his chin while thinking, so it was like that. We could do nothing about it. But I'm sorry to be blunt. Jimzaw said, I need your help. I was astonished he tried to kill me, and now wants my help. That's so thick-skinned, or thick-scaled, taking his race into consideration. I want you to find out how many information the guards took out from the girl, destroy any evidence, and deal with the girl. Jimzaw said, Wow, that's nuts. I looked at Gulamai, but he ignored me. I looked to Mikolo, and he nodded to me. So, what kind of evidence should I destroy? I asked. Anything that is related to us. Jimzaw said, There's a notebook that the girl used to carry. I also want that destroyed. And how do you want me to deal with the girl? I asked. If she didn't speak, then please try to get her out. Jimzaw said. And what if she spoke? I asked. Then kill. Chapter 21. The Ugly Truth? Now listen, we have made a Discord channel. You know what that means? I post the template images of the characters and the system that John created. There is also a ********* now, which means there will be bounce chapters. Links down below at the end of the chapter and at the description. Enjoy. Kill her. That's what they want me to do, to kill that girl. I feel sorry for such a girl. She's as old as me. Her face was messed with, her left eye gone blind, her head gone nuts. And now they want to kill her. To tell the truth, I'd rather not. How can I kill someone who I already read what they wrote and understood their pain? I like these poems she wrote. They were mostly about killing and gore, yet some of them expressed how she felt, how trapped she was, how she was trained and brought up. She was abused because of her appearance. She was abandoned and lived in some orphanage like me. Well, I had Narina, so I was very lucky. Why I've been like that child if there were no Narina? Maybe. I was in a bad mood after I left that place. I told them that I will do it right before I leave Solitude, but I had no plan in mind. I wandered the streets of the city as it started to rain. It was getting late. Rain is good. What should I do? The girl will die either way. She will be executed once they get no more information from her. And if she talks, she will be considered a traitor to the Brotherhood and must be killed. Don't get me wrong. She is an assassin, but after I read her journal, I had some mixed emotions about her. She may have been better off if she was abandoned at Rift Inn. Narina would have brought her well. But now she is a psycho killer with a poetic fetish. Hee. I kind of liked her poems, and I want to see more of them. Shiagarath really did a number on her. Shiagarath is the Daedric Prince of Madness and all the fun stuff. While I was walking, I saw someone familiar. if it is not Rusning of the college. I greeted him. John of the White Wolves, well met, kinsman. He greeted in a Nord way. I see you dueling a lot these days. I started a conversation. Not as much as you. How many have you dueled till now? 11? He asked. 12 this morning. I answered. Some people wanted to go against me these past couple of days, and I took many head on. I wasn't into fighting them as I really wanted to fight some strong people. See, anyway, what brings you to this part of the city? Rusning asked. Thinking, rethinking, and overthinking. I answered how my mind was feeling. Huh, you look like a man who needs a drink to me. Rusning laughed. Come, come, follow me. Where to? I asked. The college has a place in each hold, and there where we stay, I have some good Argonian blood wine. Rusning said. Fine by me. I followed right away. Walking in the main street that links the Blue Palace to Castle Dower, we arrived at a well-established manor. It looked the same as the other buildings in Solitude. Most of them were built in a manner special only to the city. As I entered, I could really see how majestic this place was from inside. This place was full of magical energy, as many light spheres from the spell Mage Light were all over the place. They seemed to not use normal candles or lanterns for illumination, but they used Mage Light spell. There were many books and circles of magic all over the place. Seems like these students from the college used this place to study. There were also many flower pots from many locations in Skyrim. Sorry, the place is always messy like this. Rusning said. No, not at all. The place is actually beautiful. I said. Glad you like it. Another voice came from upstairs. It was that haughty woman, Lady Faralda. Fancy seeing you again. So it's you, the boy who the assassins couldn't kill. Faralda said, while smiling. I am glad it wasn't Lady Faralda who wanted me dead, though. I said, it was a joke. If I wanted you dead, people would have seen it as a natural disaster. Faralda said, while smiling. Scary. This woman is scary, rather than the scary Faralda from the game, and due to many mods, this Faralda is actually beautiful but scary. Let's not get on Lady Faralda's bad side from now on, huh? I said while breaking into cold sweat. This woman is ranked as a senior wizard. Nerina told me about the ranks before, and wizard is as a high one. I don't remember the rest of the ranks now, though. I am using Oblivion's ranking system, and will explain it later. What brings you here? Faralda kicked the jokes aside. I invited him for a drink. Rusning said. Now you are buddies? Faralda asked with a mocking tone. We fight and share a drink, then we become friends. That's how it works. I cut in. Faralda was taken aback, and then shook her head while sighing and said Nords. Then she went up and left. She's actually a nice person, but she hates losing, you understand? Rusning said. I know, just like my mother's, they would beat Oblivion out of me even if it was just training. I said while remembering me spars with Hilda and Nerina. Mothers? Rusning asked. Yeah, I was adopted, but my real birth mother comes to visit. I said, I thought you were from an orphanage. Rusning said while offering me a seat and bring a bottle. The headmistress is my adoptive mother. She was the one who taught me magic. I said without thinking. Oh, so she's also a wild mage like you? Rusning made a face of wonder. Wild mage. This word was not in the game. This is what we call the mages that didn't grow up in a magic teaching facility like the college or mage faction. Rusning said, I see. I may be what you call a wild mage, but mother is not. I said, that explains why you're that good. He said, and offered me a tankard. What about your other mother? She has her own problems. I said, I don't normally talk about Hilda to anyone, but people you don't know are not bad listeners. What about you? I never thought I would see one Nord from the college, let alone 5. I asked. Not everyone hates the college. My great-grandpa was a mage, and our family at that time was rich and happy. After many years, my family declined, so they thought to send their child to become a mage too, and that's how I ended up. Rusning said, family problems. Let's drink to never have that ever again. I raised the tankard. I'll drink to that every day. He raised his tankard and said, after chatting for a while, I came to know that guy, and I really liked his personality. You never told, but your mother who adopted you is not a Nord, right? Rusning said, going off topic. Yeah, she is at the college now. I was a bit drunk, so talking was smooth. Whoa, who is she? I know everyone. He said. She is a Dunmare. Her name is Nurina. I said nonchalantly. Suddenly I could hear something fall, and Rusning, who was drinking, started coughing, and his wine came out of his nose. He was choking, so I hit his back with my palm, and he came back to life. Nurina, Arin? Rusning shouted. That's her. I said. He was opening his mouth like an idiot. One could send a whole egg in and out with ease. Suddenly we heard fast footsteps coming from the stairs, and Faralda jumping with wide-opened eyes. Where is she? Faralda was looking around. I looked at her and asked, where is who? Hey, Rusning, where is Nurina? Faralda asked. She's not here, BBB. But John here says she is his mother. Rusning said and pointed at me. Mother? Impossible. Nurina would never do that to me, right? He is a human, right? Faralda kept talking to herself. Then she turned to me. Hey, tell me the truth. If you lie, I'll know. If you hide something, I'll know. If you think about the idea of thinking about lying or hiding something, I will definitely know. Faralda turned crazy for a second. Then she looked and grabbed me by the shoulders. What is Nurina to you? She asked. I said, she is my adoptive mother. I broke into sweat and started shaking. Faralda's appearance gave me shivers. She was shaking, and due to the lighting, shadow was on her face, which left her golden eyes gleaming. She also released a lot of pressure. It doesn't seem you have lied. She said, we're in Nurina all these years. I was totally intimidated by that woman. She just headed to the college a month ago. I spilled the beans. And where was she before that? Faralda demanded more answers. I honestly didn't want to answer, but that was not possible now. She was at Rift 10. I said. Doing what? She asked. She was the headmistress of the orphanage. I said. Faralda's face turned from full glare to shock. She staggered backward and put her hand on her head. All these years my Nurina was alone in Rift Inn, and I couldn't find her anywhere. Faralda started mumbling to herself as she went upstairs in unsteady steps. But wait a minute. What was that just now? And what did she say, my Nurina? The hell is going on? I looked at Rusning, who was in a daze. Hey, what is an oblivion is going on? Rusning looked at me and took some time for him to collect his thoughts. One of the 7 wonders in the college was called Nurina Arin. She's the cousin of the current Archmage Savos Arin, and she was the head of the conjuration major, but she disappeared one day. What could make the college know that she's alive and well was because she made some connection with an underground organization to deliver messages to the college and keep up with the situation there. Rusning said, the only reason we think Senior Nurina disappeared was Teacher Faralda. You see, I don't know if this is an elf thing or some girls do that, but Teacher Faralda is in love with Senior Nurina. Older members of the college used to say that Teacher always clung to Senior Nurina all the time and was stalking her, which caused Senior Nurina to disappear. Rusning said, Teacher, on the other hand, kept looking everywhere for her for nearly 16 years now. Oh, okay, so it was like wait just a second. Who was doing what? When is going where? I can hear words, but they don't make sense when my brain scans them. Tama, please. Reboot system. Report bug. What is the hell? Let's review the conversation log once again. Nurina was at the college. Check. Savos Arin's cousin. Check. Head of the conjuration major. Makes sense. Escape from the college. Sounds like her. Faralda was the reason. More reason to hate Altmare. Faralda loves Nurina. Go away. Faralda was Nurina's stalker. That's too scary. Hey, what the hell was that? Does this even make any sense? Hey, author, were you drinking? That's haram. Hashish. Illegal. Then how the hell did you come up with that? It popped up just now, and I wrote it. Just F***K off. This guy is just running out of content, and seems to be throwing all weird *T on me. No, this can't be right. Too much headache now. The assassin girl's matter was one thing, but Nurina's matter is just too awful to handle. I also need to handle Hilda's problem, and a dragon breakout in the future. Isn't the author just too mean? Let's keep drinking for now. Hey, give me more wine. I said. I got you. Rusning said, what an understanding person. The matter I talked to you from before, just keep them a secret for now. Too much trouble will pop up because of it. I said. Rusning nodded quickly. This is too tiring. I just can't get my head into this anymore. Still, I need to find a way to get to Winterhold after the tournament. I said to myself, thinking about the future. You're going to Winterhold? Will you join the college? Rusning said, yeah, I'm planning to for some time. Then I'll go wander Skyrim after that. I said, I see. Then you could just come with us. Rusning said, how do you travel to Winterhold? I asked. By ship, of course. He said, perfect. That solves one of the problems. Hey, can I get 2 places? Chapter 22, Day 5. Let the match begin. My 7-year-old laptop reached the end of its journey yesterday. I rewrote this chapter on my phone, and don't expect any editing because my shoulder is stiff as hell. Also, don't forget about and Discord links in the end of the chapter. I went out of the college's manor in a good mood. Some shocking events happened, but I managed to find a fast ship to Winterhold. Better head home now. This day was too much for my mental health that I want nothing to do with it anymore. This night, I'll sleep on a different side. New day, new me. Next morning, I woke up with a headache and hangover. Seriously now, nothing goes how I want these days. I had to drink some hangover remedy potion. It tastes awful. Today was the last day of the archery competition, which no one for some reason takes seriously. The horsemanship, on the other hand, is one of the best features of this tournament. One needs a horse to participate, and luckily, John Battleborn has one, so we will be using it, one each day. But today, I have more important matters. I need to make a plan to get rid of the trouble that the assassins caused to themselves by targeting me. First, I need to know how the place looks on the inside. Second, I need to know how to get to the girl. Finally, I need her to cooperate with me. The first one is actually sneaking into one of the most fortified places in Skyrim. The second was a prison infiltration, and the last was nuts. The castle doesn't seem like anything from the game, so let's put the game data aside. I need at least to have way in and out. I went to the main yard of the castle, which was used as the arena, and kept going back and forth looking at the place. No one would ask me anything. As a known participant, I have every right to be here. Next thing was to determine which place was the fastest way in and out of the castle and of the city. I also need to survey the sewers. I remember a place from the game that could lead to outside the city, under the tower near the heart of the city. That was so exposed, but I can think it is well guarded now. As my escape route was roughly planned, I can now think of how to get in. What's more important to a thief is knowing how to get out before knowing how to get in. I remember that in the game there was a cell in the jail that one can break its wall and escape through the sewers, and unlike the game, each city has a sewer system. That is the best way to make a quiet escape. The place where they should keep the evidence is either a place that is locked well or a place that is considered an office. These answers need to come out of the guards themselves. The man I can talk to about that was, of course, Captain Aldous. The man was watching the duels right now. He didn't stand in the VIP area or any special area. He just found a place near the seats and sat there taking his rest. W.L. met Captain, I said while walking to him. White Wolf John, W.L. met. He greeted back. How were the matches? I asked. Heated, the team from Solitude are clashing with each other fiercely. It's sad to see infighting from the same city kids. He said. Oh, which teams? I asked. Wolf Fangs and Wolven Storms. He said. Strange, aren't those the teams supported by Thane Eriker and Thane Bryling? I acted as if I was taken aback. Those who played in Solitude a lot knew about the bad relationship between Eriker and Bryling. So you know who sponsored them. It's more sad to see the politics affecting the sport, but a man of my position shouldn't talk about such matters. He said. The man didn't want to involve himself in politics, it seems. So, you here for something? He asked. As a matter of fact, yes. I was just going to ask about the interrogation. I asked. I really wanted to tell you that we got something good from the girl other than the singing and the strange words she says, but all we could do, we just writing down what we could understand. He said, so, can't I by any chance at least know what she said? Maybe I could get a clue of who wanted me dead. I said, oh, okay, follow me. He said, what? Just like that. Well, this is getting easy for some reason. The man headed towards the jail, and I followed. The jail was right next to the arena. After we entered, the atmosphere inside was cold and desolate. It was poorly lit, yet the place was mostly clean. We just turned right to a room with a few chairs, chests, and a desk. It was a bit empty, but it fitted with the atmosphere of the jail. He offered me a seat and went to a certain chest, then he took out a note. He handed it to me and sat. I had to read it, even it wasn't my goal. Well, this was interesting. Seems that the mental state of our friend is not going so well. She started talking to herself, and questioning her was hard. Even after she was tortured, she kept talking crazy stuff. I had to make myself useful, so I started saying nonsense. She seems to be under some severe mental stress or some backlash of an emotional shock. Maybe the death of her partner was too much for her. It could be considered post-trauma stress disorder, and blah, blah, blah. Captain Aldous looked at me as if he had some headache. Okay, I don't really understand any of what you said. Can you make it a lot easier? Ahem. What I said was some healer terminology, but these were mostly guesses. To give a certain answer, I need to do an examination. Unfortunately, your rules say that no unauthorized people are to enter the Jai. I was pulling his leg. I can make an exception. His leg got pulled. Oh, thank you. I can't promise anything, but I'll be helpful as much as I can. So far, so good. As the victim of the assassin, I'm the last person they need to worry about. But after going into the dungeon, I could feel that matters are not as simple as I thought. This place is really a castle. Thick walls and strong structure. Every door is locked, and every corner is watched. That will result in more planning and tools. The dungeon was deep like a well, so we went down to the lowest floor. It seemed that this part of the building is older than the rest. The cells, which were in the deepest part, looked very dark, old and cold. Only a few candles lit the place from outside. In there, I could see a horror scene. A girl in rags sitting on the ground, hugging her knees and moving her body forward and backward repeatedly. Her hair was on her face and madness was in her eyes. She looked left and right like she was feeling something threatening. She was saying something in a low voice and replying to herself. Captain Aldous stood far from the cell door and looked at me. I walked to the door and stood under enough light for the girl to see me. "What's up?" I said. The girl looked at me like she found the cause of her suffering. Her facial expressions didn't have any hint of anger, yet her black, clear eyes looked like the abyss and glared at me. I'm not a fan of horror movies. This really is creepy. Still, I need to see how far this girl can think. I started talking, but all I said was parts from the poems in her note. Once I say anything, she starts to repeat after while looking to space me and say the poem to its end. She was trying not to forget the things she wrote, so she ignored everything else and made herself mumble all that she wrote. Such love for poetry is unhealthy. I think some light can enhance her mental state. She just can't calm down after witnessing her friend's death, being chased and tortured. She will be better in a dozen days or something. I gave Captain Aldous what he needed to hear. Fine. After the tournament, if she doesn't talk, she will just be executed, he said. I was turning away and leaving with him. Just as he turned to lead the way out, I took something and put it into the cell without him noticing. I couldn't see the girl's reaction, though. On my way out, I made a promise to him that I'll come once again before the tournament ends, as I was leaving after it does. This is the best way for a nosy guest like me to drop by once again. Just make the promise on the way out. Always works. Just as I got out, I heard someone calling. I challenged Jean of the White Wolves. Who was that? It was Arger Swifthill from Golden Swords, Solitude Most Dazzling Jr. Among the main 31 participants, few were undefeated. On top of that list was me and Arger, as well as Vilkas from Companion's second team, Raloff from Windhelm's Stormcloaks, as well as Lydia from Whiterun's War Maidens. See what I did there? Looking at Mr. Handsome, it really seemed that one beak cannot hold two tigers. I walked in a lofty manner and stood right in front of him. "And I accept your challenge, Blondie," I said in a dramatic way. "When?" "This afternoon," the Blondie said as he made an irritated face for being called Blondie. "Fine by me. Prepare to eat dust." I turned away while saying. Some of the people were glaring at me after taunting him like that. Some girls started taking sides, and it was a bit hectic. Returning to the inn, I informed the boys about the challenge and borrowed Battleborn's sword. Facing Arger with a weapon as heavy as Igniare is not a good idea. After all, this guy hits like a machine gun. There's only 1 hour left to the afternoon, so I wore my full gear and warmed up. They are Amulet of Akatosh, Magicka, Regan 25%. Gold Ring from Nurina, Magicka, Regan 150%. Reinforced Sneakers, Speed up 15%. Reinforced Gloves, Magicka Consumption down 10%. Belt, Link Magicka, and Stamina 25%. Plate Armor, Fortify Armor 40%. Reinforced Leather Arm Protector, Health Regan 75%. Reinforced Leather Leg Protector, Stamina Regan 75%. Steel Mast Helmet, Awareness 4 meters. Summer Mist mod, fixed to fit the story. Battleborn Sword Cold Song, Ice Damage. I don't like the chainmail or the heavy arms and leg protection. They put too much white and it affects the stamina consumption speed. After getting the hang of the sword, I switched completely to 1.5 sword style. Unlike the game, weapons can't be classified easily as two-handed or one-handed. Even some swords that doesn't look like a great sword must be held with 2 hands. Actually, most swords should be carried in 2 hands unless you're holding a saber, rapier, or an arming sword. Swords with short grips that get used with shields, for example. Other than that, most swords should be carried with 2 hands, such as the katanas of the blades. Also, no sword can be classified as a greatsword easily, though. An actual greatsword length might overcome 2 meters like the Suihander swords, and they only fit the big grunts. Axes and blunt weapons are much simpler, but there is an art to them too. That knowledge was bestowed upon me by the Hilda. I remember when she asked me about weapons, and I classified them as one-handed and two-handed like the game with full confidence. My ass was handed over to me that day. Back to the topic, Battleborn Sword was nearly 120 centimeters long bastard sword with excellent craftsmanship. I saw the damn thing, and I fell in love with it. One can only love such a sword. The hilt's grip was made of white wood that probably came from Riften. The pommel was round, engraved and beautiful, and the crossguard was straight and had good thickness and balance. As for the blade part, it could be called strong, which is the wider base of the blade attached to the hilt, and weak, which is the thinner half to the blade's point. The edge of the blade was sharp and the point was steady. I sheathed it after getting used to its length and weight. Can't afford to miss any detail in this fight. I also made preparation for the spellbound sword. The sword I can conjure is a Daedric sword. Its style and balance were all over the place, though, as it had the length of a saber with the thickness of a cutlass. And, thanks to the chance, bound weapons are a bit lighter due to its spectral properties. In the end, I can wield 2 swords, yet I am not optimistic about the damage they can deal. I regretted not learning more bound weapon spells, as it can make my style much more diverse. I'll learn how to bound a spear and a bow once I get to the college. I was in deep thinking until the time came. I and the boys, followed by Sviti, reached the arena. But what the hell is that? The place is just too crowded. Did the Jarls duel each other or something? I planned to wait and see, but I found that everyone was urging me to go into the arena. So that crowd is for me? I kind of feel flattered. Hey, aren't those Torig and Elisif? Scald the Grumpy, Balgriff my friend, Creepy Idgrod, Big Bad Ulfric, Depressed Career, Sleeping Layla, Dingir of Stun Paranoia, and the plainest Jarl of them all, Igmund. I just don't have any impression of that guy. Beside them, there is the Bard's College headmaster Viarmo, Maven Blackbriar, Irlin Greymane, Codlac Whitemane, Wizard Faralda, Thomver Silverblood, and all the heavyweights that came to the tournaments. What the hell is that? Did they decide to end the tournament today, or something? Suddenly, I heard a horn blowing. Viarmo popped out on some platform and blew the horn of the match. Then he spoke, "Welcome, people of all holds. Today is a day of duels, a day that some of the best juniors of Skyrim will meet each other in front of your eyes. The participants are here, the guests are here, the fighters are here. Then let's begin." After that, he pointed to me and Arger to get to the arena. Ahem, behold Arger of Clan Swifthilt. His name holds fame long has been built. The challenger he is on the west right now. Unsheath your blade and give us a bow. After Viarmo said his introduction, the spectators made an applause for Arger, who bowed to every direction. On the east is John, known as Dare, with iconic hair as red as a flare. His style is fair, magical, and bold, will fight in ways that no one foretold. Viarmo introduced me, and many cheers erupted. I raised my hand and made a V sign. The horn was blown again, and Viarmo kept speaking, with fighters being all here. Give them a hearty cheer, and fighters hold no grudge, as I will be a judge, but the beginning will be true, as the king do say so. Torrig was who, smiling, stood up, and everyone in the VIP stood to him, but he signed for them to sit. Elisif stood beside him, and he whispered something to her. As he finished, Elisif stood forward and raised a hand. Then she spoke, "In the name of the High King, let the match begin." Chapter 23, John Dare versus Arger Swifthilt. I watched tons of YouTube videos for the sake of that chapter. Third-person POV. Let the match begin. Cling, cling, cling. John and Arger were already holding themselves, and when they got the permission of the king from the queen's mouth, they didn't wait for any instructions from the judge. They didn't even think about trash talking. 3 exchanges which were too fast that most of the audience weren't even ready to watch, started looking around, asking where that sound came from. After the 3 exchanges, both jumped back. They already have a rough idea about the other, but that made things more clear. Arger held his broadsword front of him with 2 hands. John held the sword in a different pose, which was more of taking a guard by raising the sword's hilt to a high point to his right with the blade guarded downwardly. They both started moving in a circle and scanned each other again and again. They have already made many moves inside their heads for every possible response from the other. John took a half step forward, but Arger changed his stance into a stabbing pose. John took another step and changed the pose into straight guard. While everyone was thinking how will John attack, Arger jumped with swiftness and stabbed with one hand towards John's left shoulder. John was ready as ever and deflected the opponent's swords with his left arm guard and stabbed with one hand too. Arger felt threatened and tilted his body's upper half away from the stab, retreated one step, held the sword with the other free hand, and slashed the sword that was deflected away downwardly. John took a step back, evading the slash by a hair's width. He didn't hold his sword with 2 hands, but slashed with one horizontally. Evading this was hard for Arger, so he retreated his hands with the sword to guard his side. Sure enough, the swords hit, but John was not done. His second phase was in a straight kick to Arger's torso. Arger could no longer block or evade, but this was still not a problem. This strong kick might do some damage, but it's a one-way ticket backward. Arger was sure enough sent back by the kick. He didn't put much effort resisting. His idea of not resisting was sure brilliant enough. In the VIP seats, Ulfric Stormcloak and Torrig were already sitting leaning on their knees. Ulfric was an old war dog, but Torrig was not some unexperienced young man. Both were keeping up with every detail of the fight. John and Arger began another fast exchange. The scenario from just now was recreated once again with different tactics and traps. John has much more diversity in attacking. He can punch and kick and utilize his body to the fullest. Arger was relying more on speed. His actions and reactions were swift, and his sword was like an extension of his body. Balbrith the Greater got into a heated analysis commentary with Ulfric Stormcloak. Their eyes, as well as everyone, were focused on the match, but listening to them was very important as the 2 experienced warriors were reading the match. Arger decided to put an end to John's momentum. He jumped back and made a stabbing pose once again that he stabbed, then stabbed, then stabbed again and again. John was evading back, left, and right with now no chance of counterattacking. He could remember the Chinese martial arts movies that had the same technique, but was used with spears. This technique can had some good chances to counter, but being used with a sword made it slow, yet hard to go against. It can't be compared to fencing as it was being done with two hands and supported by the mythical strength of the different world. It didn't look like Arger was going to finish today. He was gaining momentum and space while making John hot on heels. John started to think and change his footwork. He was waiting for a single attack that can go his way. Arger didn't read this, but he noticed that John started to slow down a bit early, the best way to intimidate anyone with an attack to the face, and that's how Arger planned. The attack came aiming at John's forehead, yet that was the moment he was aiming for. His opponent's range was wide, but took time to retreat the sword. John didn't retreat back 1 inch, but tilted his upper body almost 90 degrees to the back and used his sword to block Arger's sword and keep it up. John's counterattack came right after in another kick, but this one didn't land on Arger's torso. It landed on his left knee from the side. Arger, who had a lot of momentum, suddenly felt a pain in his knee that caused him to retreat his body. Yet John was already on his right side now, so he could only use his left side. Using that side meant relying all the weight on that knee. It was not good. His knee can't carry him as it didn't recover and John's second attack was coming. Sacrifice needed to be made. Arger threw his weight on his bad knee and fell to the ground while flipping away. After he could secure a foothold, he slashed horizontally in 270 degrees slash to his behind. The wind slash carried a lot of might, yet low accuracy. John, who was chasing after Arger to press him, had to jump backward. Arger stood hastily, and another stabbing pose was perfectly made. This pose can make the opponents think twice before making a move, especially when it was done by Arger. The VIP, the people, the arena guards, and the imperial soldiers of the legion that were guarding the emissaries were at loss for words. Everyone clapped at that exchange. John was too unusual, and his ideas didn't just came out of the box. It made the box look ashamed of itself. Arger's speed, judgment, and wisdom far surpassed his age. These two youngsters are two rare geniuses that came out from the same nation. It meant a lot to the people in the VIP seats. John walked around and played with the sword like a clown. The sword was spinning around his right hand, showing another level of control. This was a direct taunting for Arger, who on the other hand smiled back. John couldn't help but smile too. His opponent was too good. He started to feel his own growth once again. Fights like this with an equal can make the person only better and better. Arger could already deal with the pain in his knee and could ignore it. The next showdown was about to begin. Cling, 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 cling. Slashing and clashing again. Arger didn't go overboard with speed, and John didn't do any tricks. They were saying, I know what you were thinking, but who moves first loses. John wanted more speed training from Arger, but he can't afford to reveal many cards this early. There were few ideas he can use, but he was waiting for the right chance. Arger knew what John was thinking, but on the other hand, he wasn't looking forward to John's next trick. To him, John was so capable that he could make an idea out of nowhere and apply it right in the fight. To him, the creativity of John was like an unreadable future. He can't waste his time, try to think of the way John will use to counterattack. He had to corner John or deplete his stamina. John was attacking in a wide manner. He wanted to put an end to the opponent's stamina too. Arger was just too good. Their talents varied, but if one put the talents aside, John knew he would be played by Arger. John had a rebel mindset that if one made him choose between one or two, he'll immediately think of three. This was reflected on his style. He can be cornered, but he will rebel against that and make a flashy way to counter. The match is already past 10 minutes. Everyone was worried. Stamina was what the warriors relied their lives on. If someone lost his stamina in the middle of battle, his life is already as good as lost. The exchange of swords reached its peak. John could only describe this as a kendo match that has gone haywire. Suddenly and out of nowhere, Arger made a precise stab to the gap between Jon's left shoulder guard and body armor. The tip of the sword was starting to sink in Jon's flesh. This was his turn to make sacrifice. He let his left hand go of the sword grip and retreated his left side around his right leg, avoiding a major wound. He tried to scare Arger away with a horizontal upwardly slash with the ice song in his right. It was the best anyone can do, but Arger was not done yet. This was the payback to his knee. He mustered all the power, weight, and speed he can and directed a hit right to Jon's sword ice song. The sword was in one hand and being swung, so it was not under full control. Just as the swords clashed, Jon's hand couldn't keep up with Arger's force. The sword slipped from his hand and fell to the ground with clink, clink, clink. Arger was at the top of his focus and no way for him to miss the chance. His desire to win was reaching the upper limit of just a desire and turned into frenzy. He moved from each his legs, making a stance, and at the same time kicking Ice Song away with his left. His sword was in a downwardly stab pose as his hand were on his left side and was about to thrust the sword at Jon. He was smiling widely for the victory he could see, taste, and smell. But just in the very next second his face turned numb and he staggered backward. Arger didn't know what happened, but everyone else was already on their feet from what they saw. When Ice Song fell, Sviti was screaming, Wolfer and Jon were glaring. Half of the crowd held their breath, and the other was saying gibberish words as their minds already on high function. The VIP area suffered the most as Elisif was jumping in victory pose and Tori was opening his mouth. The rest were standing. Even the mages were shouting. Arger's way of a sword was of a way of planning genius. Jon's way of fighting was of an illuminated genius. Arger's win was anticipated for half of the people, but this was a bit sad for Jon. Yet that move that Jon made was out of every text or sketchbook there were about fighting in Tamriel. It came right from Clown's textbook. Jon jumped backward with a strange trajectory, making his legs rotate around his body midair. His right leg smacked Arger right on the face. His face took the kick with all its might, and his consciousness went to oblivion and came back in a second, giving Jon the chance to land upwards down on his hands. Jon launched himself again with his hands and landed on his legs. He didn't have enough from just that. He made another round again, retreating completely from Arger's Mai. Mai is a Japanese martial arts term referring to the space between two opponents in combat. Formally, the engagement distance. The place was silent. No one has ever seen this before in a fight. Thieves can do these moves, but not an actual fight where all unnecessary moves are openings. This was just too absurd. Even creativity should have a limit. Jon, who landed far away, just now was huffing after the intense engagement. He thought, parkour, my life's savior, Daedric Prince of Gymnastics. Give me your blessing, and I'll make you a shrine beside my cat shrine. Jon was having the time of his life in that match. He didn't notice that the fetishes he has are growing in number. The audience, on the other hand, has already passed the shock and denial stages. They reached the reaction stage. The place was erupting with applause. Even the people that didn't come or hear about the fight were already trying to enter the castle's arena after that loud applause. The VIP was already hectic long time ago. Idgrod was glaring at Elisif, who let her emotions slip. Ulfric was smiling, Torrig opened his mouth more, and the rest were having a unique reaction each. Arger and Jon glared at each other. Arger was having a conflict between his emotions. He could already taste victory. He planned every move and even kicked Ice Song away from the arena. Why is that young man still standing with no problem at all? He looked at the sword he kicked and said, "You have no weapon, better sir," but he didn't continue. Jon has already made a spell come on each hand. Arger's heart sank. Magic is strong, and Jon is known for his strong spells. This will not be easy if Jon turned the tide by magic. As Jon casted the two spells, two swords appeared on each hand. The swords were spectral and looked sinister no matter how you describe them. At the beginning of the match, Jon used a long sword which was longer than Arger's broadsword, but these swords were shorter than it. This only meant a totally different fight style will appear once again. The possibilities of Jon now has increased. The Jarls who were dissatisfied about Jon using magic didn't mind the bound sword spell. These were also swords after all. Jon faced Arger and pointed the right blade to him. It was a haughty move that Arger won't get taunted with, but with his mindset just now, he jumped at Jon like a mad person. His sword was on his hand, was slashing with both speed and power. He was not angry anymore. He was focusing every piece of his being on his sword right now. Jon noticed how Arger was focusing. This is a very wondrous state of mind, known as the zone. All the unnecessary movements are cancelled. All the necessary movements are accurate. Everything is how it should be, a top-notch style. Jon couldn't afford to lose here. He focused his magicka and perception on the blades he summoned. This was another special way to enter the same mind state, the zone. Magicka was the mystic power that can be commanded by concentration, and using the manipulation methods of magicka, one can direct his concentration. Right now, two very focused young warriors engaged in a heated exchange of power and speed once again. It was just at the level of experts. In the eyes of experienced warriors, these guys have already won. No one of them could be considered a loser. In the eyes of the audience, if any of those two lost, it will break the hearts of everyone. The only way out of this dilemma was for them to continue fighting till the both reach their limit, and it can be called tie. Everyone thought of the same idea, even the helpers of the two. Only two people disagreed with the rest. They were Jon and Arger. After few exchanges were over, the two were already out of breath and barely able to raise their swords. Jon looked at Arger and laughed, then coughed a few times. "You look like you were beaten up by a troll," Blondie, Jon said. "You look like the same," Redhead Arger said. The both laughed while catching their breath. Jon and Arger knew it won't end well that way. They said something, but this time the people didn't hear. They both moved away from each other to the directions outside the arena, but stopped at the line. They both called for someone. Jon called for Wulfr, and Arger called for a teammate. After a while, their helpers removed the gear from them, and both of them walked back to the arena without an armor or a weapon. The people already understood how this is going to end, a brawl. Looking at each other, Jon has already devised his plans. Outside the arena, people were discussing the matter with heat. Some has already started cheering for Jon and Arger at the same time. Battleborn looked at Wulfr and asked, "Did he say anything?" Wulfr shook his head and looked at Jon in the arena. He was just smiling slyly. Smiling. "He is up to no good again," Battleborn said, as he was already used to Jon's mischievous acts. "Nah, you only joined with us lately, but this is something you must remember." Wulfr looked at Battleborn with a serious face. "Never brawl with Jon." On the arena, Jon and Arger stood against each other again. The fight has already lasted for 20 minutes. Jon cracked his fingers and neck. He squatted and made all the preparations. Arger moved his stiff body once again and raised his hands in brawling pose. Jon saw this and shook his head in his mind. If that coach from his past life saw that pose, 10 generations of Arger's ancestors will be cursed in a second. Jon took a stance, hands guarded up and feet moved up and down lightly. Jon hasn't trained much on martial arts in his past life, but the basics were hammered into him. He watched tons of movies and was able to recreate his version of parkour. Of course, he made his rough version of movie martial arts. Arger didn't think much of Jon's stance, but he was still aware of Jon's capabilities. Yet he knew that his won't lose easily too. Arger wanted to rely on speed and knock Jon with fast, strong punches. Yet he had some sense of déjà vu followed by numbness in his face. Jon attacked light speed with jab, jab, right hook. The people were at a loss for words once again. One should muster a punch by rotating his body to the opposite direction, then rotate it back with speed while throwing the punch. What Jon did was not a textbook brawling either. He moved his hands from the stance and only rotated his body with a hook to a single direction. His feet started to jump faster and change positions. Arger didn't read the next attack at all. The punches came, but Arger was ready and evaded to a certain point. But when he left punch to counterattack, Jon evaded lightly to the back and countered with a single right punch to Arger's left ribs. Arger was annoyed. He decided to be the one to break the silence and use leg attacks. He moved his right leg to make a straight kick, but what met him was John's left leg hitting his leg away. His state crumbled and staggered. A right hock, left hock, kick straight sent him back to the ground. John's stance didn't break for a second. His punches targeted the head. That was too hardcore even for a brawler. Arger didn't stay on the ground. He stood up again while say, "Come at me." John didn't hesitate. He moved forward and right-kicked Arger's right leg. After it hit, the kick changed to a side kick and dived into Arger's abdomen. This was just the start. John retreated his right while jumping with the left. Once the right landed in the ground, the left moved in an arc to Arger's head, who managed to guard by his right hand. Arger staggered to the side, but John gave a chase and jumped while rotating midair and landed a light left kick to Arger's head with a heavy right kick to his chest. Then both landed on the ground. John staggered while standing up again, and the judge ran to check on Arger. Everyone held their breath. Arger was still moving, but looked in no shape to fight. He coughed blood long ago, and his body was full of wounds. John wasn't any better, but was standing still. Few seconds later, the judge stood. "I declare John of White Wolves the winner." That was a tough fight. I loved the swordsmanship of that fellow, but when he asked me to end it a brawl, I told him not to do it. Well, he brought that upon himself. Fighting him in armor and using weapons, I couldn't do anything to him that easily, but once we used bare-hand martial arts, we were in totally different planes. This is the difference between those who have watched Yuri Boyka and those who didn't. Well, let us get healed physically now and mentally later. But just as the healer was done with us, Captain Aldous came out of nowhere. "You two are ordered to come to the big seats." The big seats are what I call the VIP. I can foresee a headache. I gave a hand to Arger, who limped to stand. After a while, we reached the place, and the guards let us in. The place was sure nice. The big shots were all in one place. We bowed to High King Torg a light bow. Nords don't bend the knee. We were congratulated with promises of many gifts and stuff. I had to refuse Ulfric advice to join him in Windhelm. Torg was giving him a cold eye, but he completely ignored it. Igrod, Ravencrone, and Balgruuf are the only Jarls I have a good impression with, so I promised to visit them for sure. Elisif, on the other hand, was really worried about Arger for some reason. I don't know the reason, but curiosity is killing me. I tried my best to hear what are they saying, and I caught something. "Sis, you're embarrassing me." I swear I could hear Arger say that. Damn, I just beat up the royal brother-in-law. Good thing we are Nords. Anyway, after evading Ulfric, I was excused and could run away back to my friends. "Let's head home," I said. We left with a lot of cheers, and the guard made a path for us to the participants' entrance. I changed into my dandy-style clothes and covered myself with a cloak. I was planning on going to the bathhouse, but I saw a strange out-of-place shop. The shop had many cages and looked a bit new. "What is that shop?" I asked. "This is a pet shop where rich girls come to buy pet animals," Sviti said. "Milk drinkers," Battleborn reacted. "Rich people," sigh. Wolfer followed. I was in no mood to reply. I finally found it. After a full lifetime, I can make that dream come true. I will die with no regrets this time. "I'm going in," I said. "For me, kitty, kitty, kitties. There's a poll in Discord about the Civil War. Come and join us." Chapter 24, Skyfire Pet Shop. Many thanks for @mo-fi. Essay. On for the first donation on this novel ever. Let's carve his name on the wall of Windhelm and give him a free ticket to Sovngarde. Star. Kitty, kitty, kitties. Fu kitty, 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 kitties. A strange, heavy voice sounded. "Excuse me, do you sell kitty, kitty, kitties?" It came from the entrance direction. A girl stood in the store wearing expensive clothes and had a tied hair. She turned around to see who came into her family's store. But what she saw scared oblivion out of her. A huge shadow blocked the light of day that comes from the entrance. It gave a powerful aura. The candles in the shop went down from that aura. The animals in the cages quieted down as well. The figure walked slowly, making some weird laughs. The girl was scared. She was about to scream, but suddenly the huge figure fell on the ground, turning into 3 smaller figures. The place was dark, and the girl couldn't see any of the figures' features clearly. A voice came from behind the figures. Finally, he's down. It was a girl's voice. If he wasn't originally tired by Ismir, he would have dragged us through the whole town. A young man's voice sounded out. But after a second, the atmosphere froze. The strange voice could be heard. Once again, "Fufufu, sticks and stones may break my bones, but kitties will revive me." The figure in the middle bended its limbs in a weird direction and stood on all 4. It suddenly creeped like a spider towards the girl with high speed. "Do you sell kitties?" The girl was about to scream and fall back once again, but suddenly one of the figures on the ground jumped and fell directly on the creeping figure. "Caught him. Sorry about that. Are you Alric?" A strong voice of a young man spoke to the store girl, but it suddenly halted. The boy saw a ginger girl with sky-blue eyes and pure, beautiful face. The girl saw a boy with strong build, dark hair, and brown eyes. Something sparkled in their eyes, but that's a story for a bit later. Star, 5 minutes earlier, outside the pet shop. "Hey, these shops are for milk drinkers. You can't just go in." Battleborn was trying to stop John. "He won't listen. Look at his eyes," Wolfer said. "His eyes are turning into that of a cat, his mouth too. He is not listening at all." Sviti was pointing from afar. "Basically like this, Omega. That doesn't look good to me." Wolfer pressed him from above. Battleborn said. "Ow!" Wolfer replied. "I don't know, climb on him." "Fine," and you cling to his legs. "All right, Sviti, give us a hand. Leave me out of this." "Damn it, he is moving. Press him harder." "I can't. Watch how we are going in." The appearance was that of 3 young men. One was walking, and the other 2 were restraining him, one clinging on his shoulders, and the other from his legs. There was a girl too, but she didn't get involved. Finally, they entered a shop. Star, back to the present. I'm all right, very all right. The girl was speaking without concentration while looking at the boy. "Give me kitty kit." John was about to rise again, but Wolfer punched him back to oblivion without breaking eye contact with the girl. It seemed like even John can't break the pink atmosphere that was forming right now. "Hey, is John all right?" Sviti asked Wolfer while giving a hand to Battleborn on the ground. He is very all right," Wolfer replied in a soft voice and a slow manner. For some reason, Sviti and Battleborn felt shivers. Even John stopped resisting. "Wolfer, what happened to John?" Battleborn asked. "I punched him," Wolfer said. "What? Is he all right?" Sviti asked, and came beside Wolfer, who was still on John. Wolfer was looking at a girl, and the girl was looking back at him. Sviti waved her palm between them, and they suddenly reacted. The girl looked away and blushed red. Wolfer looked left and right with a pale face. Then he finally looked down. "Oi, John, what happened to this guy?" Wolfer shook him. "Answer me." Battleborn and Sviti looked at each other, and their faces turned serious. This was a scary moment in the history of Wolfer. "Damn it, my head feels very heavy. I remember that feeling. Once I played a prank on Isolde, but I mistook her, and it was a different girl. After that, someone punched me. I got familiar with Wolfer and Sviti after that day. This punch is just identical. Was it Wolfer again? I'll have his ass this time." I could open my eyes finally. It's a bit dark, but I see light. "What is that?" I sat, but the place around me was strange. I was sleeping on fur, but I was in a cage. Yes, a cage. Wait, what's going on here? I was heading home after the fight, and something about cats happened. My memory is not really clear. "Hey, anyone here?" I called. "Ah, you finally awake." Battleborn voice came from somewhere. "He awoke. Can we get him out now?" A girl spoke, but I didn't recognize her voice. "Just leave him until we confirm his sanity," Sviti said. For figures came in front of the cage. "Seriously? You knock out your old daddy and put me in a cage." I could understand what happened now. "We can't afford you to go berserk again," Battleborn replied. "Just to make sure, did your head cool down? Get me out or else." I was in a grumpy mood. Battleborn just touched the door and it opened, so it wasn't locked. How embarrassing. I got out of the cage and looked around. This is a store I kind of remember. Sorry for just now. I looked at the girl who looked like the clerk. Mental fatigue must have accumulated after the match, and I berserked out. Your friends have told me. Congratulations for the win. The girl talked in a shy manner. She was a beautiful girl with light ginger hair and blue eyes. Kind of similar to me, but she has her charm. I am John. Sorry for the trouble. I said, I am Jorna. Welcome to Skyfire Pet Store. The girl called Jorna said, Oh, pet store, right? Cats, kitties. My memories came back all of a sudden. Don't even think about it. Sviti warned me. She actually was scary. Jorna was hiding behind her. My bad. Sorry, do you have cats? I asked, holding myself to the limit. The girl looked at me and smiled wryly. This store is more focused on exotic and expensive animals, especially those which have magical properties and those which can fight and hunt. Oh, so that kind of store existed. This is really like some MMOs. Why didn't a game feature like that come to the world? Was a mod? Let's think of that later. Magical properties. Does Nords even like that? I felt it strange. They crave for it. We don't really say they're magical, but if it's from nature, then Nords won't think of it as anything strange. The girl said, But you just said that to a Nord. I said, And not just any Nord. Jorna said, It's John Dare, the one who defeated the mages in their own game. Oh, you know about that? Of course I was famous. Yes, I was there that day. Most of the girls went to see the match of Ardra Swifthill, and I was lucky I was there that day. She said, Anyway, may I interest you in one of our creatures? Jorna said, Wow, just like Isolda, this girl has a merchant face too. What kind of animals do you sell? I asked. Anything that can be trained. My clan trained most of these animals, so they are friendly and all. I also have some recommendations for you and you warrior friends here. She said, You clan? I asked. Half of us are tamer. Weird hobby for Nords, but we were brought up many of these beautiful creatures. She said, I normally manage the store, but my ma goes back to the clan for the other ones, the big ones that can't be sold in a city. You see. Why is this world turning too mystical all of a sudden? So what do you normally sell? I asked. You finally asked, follow me, she said while turning around, but when she faced Wolfer, she clearly blushed. The hell? I looked at Sviti. She shrugged and was unusually silent. Let's ask later. Following the girl, we arrived at some small cages. This a dragon frog. Cute, isn't it? Mages by dozens of these beauties. She pointed at something. That thing was a frog, a big one. But it had 2 wings, and it looked like it can use them. It also had scales like that of a lizard. I have seen these things in books. This creature also made an appearance in the Elder Scrolls Online. I think it's weird, but they really sell it. Why do mages like these? I asked. They are clean, airborne, and magical. They can evolve into a magical creature once they adapt to a certain element. She said, What else is there? I asked. There are canines like the Alucard dune hounds and Bravil retrievers, which are preferred by hunters. She said, pointing at a cage. There are also the bear dogs. She pointed at a cage. There are also Mordhau Mastiff, a true, fearless beast. I like that one. Skyrim wolfhounds. Oh, the ones from the game. There are also wolves and bears cubs, but we don't display them here. You can order them, though. Bears? Sign me up. There are also gooers. We import them from Morrowind. Some like to pick them as mounts, but their prices are a bit high in Skyrim. Oh, I know that one. They are bipedal reptilians from Morrowind and Blackmarsh. They're the replacement for horses there. I also see them as some sort of dinosaurs. Nirina used to raise one when she was young. There are also foxes right over here, many kinds from Skyrim, Hammerfell, and elsewhere. They are my favorite. Also, there are mounts in our outer store, horses and ponies, gooers and also goats, elks and rams that can be mounted. I think we had a war boar once, but decried like a baby and took it to himself. She said, What an interesting father. Finally on our tour, and the thing that might interest you the most are the felines. She finally said it. Finally, I couldn't help but let it out. Time for his kitten heaven. Battleborn laughed. Let's call it Kitten Guard. Wolfer said. He actually cracked a funny joke. People laughed at it too. Something changed about that guy. Seeing the felines as only cats is belittling the might of one of the scariest breeds ever lived. Cats, by the way, are favored by Debella, the goddess of love. There also is a breed of cats which is considered very cute, is also the favorite pet in the old magic guild. Even the college now has 10s of them around. Bjorna said. Everyone made a serious face when she made a speech. Wait a minute. You're speaking about the mage sentry cats, right? They are in the college? I asked. More than the mages themselves. She said. They tend to cling to people with pure magicka, and also no one can escape their senses. She said, so if you're going to the college, then just buy something more expensive. Ahem, suitable. I heard that. There are a wide variety of cats and dragon frogs, but most can only be found in the college due to evolutions based on magic. She said, we on the other hand can sell you lynxes which are more honest than cats if they were raised well. The clan also imported half Sunche breeds. She said, seriously say that earlier. As you may know, Cinches are sort cagiates that comes from elsewhere, unlike their bipedal brothers and sisters, and they may breed with felines like tigers and lions, giving us many variants like cinch lions, cinch tigers, cinch leopards, and cinch panthers. But the best choice, in my opinion, are the saber cats. They are faster and can adapt to Skyrim better. She came to a halt when she reached an office. We also stopped after her. So, dear customers, have you made your mind? Bjorna said, while making a merchant smile. I'm gratified from the amount of the stuff you guys sell. I couldn't help but say, what are you talking about? This is a small, just pet shop. The real business is done by almost half of my clan. We tame, hunt, and fight. This shop is only a place for youngsters to manage and a place to make deals. Most of the stables in Skyrim deal with us. She proudly said, damn it, this girl is not simple. Anyway, you guys can be patient. Most of the orders take a lot of time. She said, and also you need to wait for my mother to come from the arena. She knows what's in stock better than me. One question, please. Someone finally interrupted her. Oh, that was me. Sorry, I'm just dizzy. Does your shop sell Pokemon balls? I asked. No, what is that? She asked back. It's a magical device from my past life. People who had many pets kept them within these small balls. I said with complete honesty. Whoa, I want some of these myself. That's so handy. But wait a minute, what past life? She said. That's one of his usual jokes when he is not sure about something. He normally involves past lives and dragons for some reason. Sviti cut in. Dragons? Bjorna was taken aback. Dragons are real, you know. I said. Seriously? Bjorna was full of wonder. They are not. Wolfer, Battleborn, and Sviti said in unison. They are. I said, 5 years from now, they will return. This is a normal argument we always go in since the time of the orphanage. He just loves dragons too much. Don't take him seriously. Sviti assured Bjorna. Nah, I always wanted to see one when I was young. Bjorna said, joke's on you guys. Maybe dragons should be real after all. Wolfer, who was unusually silent, spoke. I couldn't hold myself anymore. This guy has fallen, and fallen hard. Sviti and Battleborn looked at Wolfer as if they looked at a traitor. This was really fun, but that fun didn't last that long. We could hear footsteps of someone coming to our direction. We were deep into the store, so we couldn't tell who was coming. Suddenly, Bjorna ran to that direction and looked. Oh, it's Ma. That's what she said. Look good, Wolfer. Aunt-in-law arrived. Few breeds later, the woman came in. The woman that arrived was tall, red hair, blue eyes. I couldn't help but stare. I couldn't help but freeze. Why is she here? Why does Bjorna call her mother? I looked at the woman, and she looked at me. She also froze. I couldn't help but to look at Bjorna once again, who was telling her that there were customers. Words were stuck in my throat, as if they were wrestling which one to come first. Why are you here? Who is that girl? Why didn't you tell me? What's going on? All these words couldn't break free from each other but one word from each sentence broke out. Hilda? That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.